One of you could do the countdown. I'm listening.
Cool. Yep, I will do a countdown. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. And we are off. So, in Super Mario 64 Randomizer, if you haven't played it before, basically the way the game works is that every level entrance is randomized, the locations of the enemies are randomized, the locations of coins, stars, items, hat blocks, anything like that. At the very start, there are two options you can take. You can either go into Bomb on Battlefields painting, which will take you to a random course, or you can go unlock the Vanish Cap, which is what we see all three of the runners are doing right now. Generally, in something like 70 star, most runners prefer to just go right into Bomb on Battlefield painting, but since you're going to be opening up every course in 120 star anyway, because of course you need to get all the stars from the game, it makes sense for most runners to go ahead and go down into Vanish Cap first. So we'll be entering Vanish Cap, and we got Big Boo's Haunt, so all three players can enter there. Big Boo's Haunt is an interesting stage because there are some very fast stars and some very slow stars. You can either pick up one of the open stars, and that's going to be, there is an open star just available to you, which is often very, very fast if you can find it. There are also slower stars, such as we see Merkenbach there doing, where you collect all of the boos, and that is very time consuming because you have to beat all of the boos, respond to Big Boo, and then you're going to have to collect a star from the Big Boo after beating it. So I believe all the Viper, Merken going for that. Whereas you see Ludwig going for one of the faster stars, which is the eyeball. When you find the eyeball, you just have to spin it around, and that will spawn a star. So that is one of the ones you do in faster categories because it's not terribly time-consuming, and you can usually find the big eyeball. It can only spawn in a few places. Proper spawn here for Ludwig on that star. It's very easy to get up there, but sometimes you can kind of stuck on the edge of the bridge. It's a steep slope. And we see Merken also having to go up on the roof to get some of those remaining trees. So Ludwig's going to go ahead and enter their second stage. Not a useful stage here. Again, one of those ones in shorter categories where you're not going to be playing through at all because it's a slower option to take compared to some of the faster stars, just open stars or box stars. But the 120 star are going to be so Ludwig is going to go ahead and run around and collect all these red coins and get that star. We see both of our other runners still doing, like I said, it's a much slower star, so we can see how much more time they're going to be spending in the Big Boo's house. But that doesn't really matter too much because Ludwig will be back to get that star later on. There is some advantage to doing the fast stars early, and basically that means you can unlock some of the stages a little bit earlier on, perhaps, because there are star door requirements, which are also randomized. That means you got to get a certain amount of stars to access certain stages. So some people prefer to do some of the faster ones early, just so that they can have more options with their routing. Some people prefer to just go ahead and get some of the more difficult stars out the way as they come. So we see both Merken and Viper still looking around for those remaining boos. Looks like there might be a difficult one that they're still trying to find. We see both fervorously. Once you're searching down in the basement of Big Boo's house, you know that you have entered a point of struggle. Nobody likes to ride that elevator. There's a slight amount of shame associated with the elevator, but sometimes you gotta ride it, especially in 120 star. Alright, so we see Ludwig collecting those red coins and getting back out right away. And moving into their third level already, which is HMC. Hazy Maze Cave. There are 5 open stars in this level, so there are a lot of very quick to get stars. However, it is also a very large level with a lot of really awkward areas to have to search. Down here in the water is a very good starting point usually because it gives you access to often many stars and what Ludwig is doing, which is going into Metal Cap. Metal Cap is often a stage that is a run killer in shorter runs in like the 70 star categories because if there is a stage here with lots of different things to collect, like a stage you want to get 5 stars from, you would have to enter HMC and then enter it every time here. It is of course slower as well in the 120 star categories, but you are going to be entering HMC a lot more often. But still, usually you want to see something like down there, or a Metal Cap. You do not want to be seeing Tiny Huge Island or Rocks Fortress or someplace, or not Tiny Huge Island. Alright, so both of we got Merken finally collecting their first star, which again is not unusual if you're starting with one of these slowest stars in the game, the Big Boop House, with collecting all the different boops. We see Ludwig just spawning their 4th star of the game, back in BVH. Again, opting for some of the faster stars, as you have seen. Also doing a little exploration to make sure they can figure out the basement. You definitely want to know where some of the stars are. There's definitely an element in Randomizer of you don't know where things are, so often even if you're not necessarily going for a specific star in a specific area, if you're down there, like if you're down in the carousel, it's worth taking a look around, going into first-person mode, and just seeing, is there something you need to come back for? If you see a red point down there, or another star, or a boo, perhaps, you know that you're going to be going back over here. But if it's completely empty, you know that you can basically avoid the basement totally, which can be a big time saver, so you're not looking for your last red point and spending, 30 seconds riding that elevator and going down. So Ludwig does pick up their 4th star after breaking a box for good luck. We have Viper doing some carousel shenanigans over in Bowser in the Dark World. Merken picks up that red point star and immediately dies. You'll see a lot of deaths here. You definitely want to balance out your death warps with your exiting of stage. There is some value to dying, there is some value to pausing and going to exit stage, and depending on where you want to end up, if you exit stage, you're going to end up in the lobby, which means that you're going to be right in the middle of a bunch of different options. So there are some loops, for example, where you might want to exit stage after collecting a coin star or collecting a red coin star there. But often you want to die because that puts you out at the entrance to the level. And going to the entrance to the level is usually going to be good if you haven't seen that level before. Cool, so we got Ludwig over in Rainbow Ride, popping some boxes. There is 1 star inside of a box, and I think there are 4 boxes perhaps inside of Rainbow Ride. There might be, nope, don't quote me on that count. But usually it is very generous to find one of those boxes early on that has the star, so it's going to pop into the 3rd, and there it is. That's nice because you no longer have to open any of those boxes. They don't have anything useful for us. Viper finds one of their stars in HMC, down in the maze. The maze is another one of those places that often doesn't necessarily have anything. There isn't a ton of spawnable area down there, but it's good to clear out and take a peek around in those maze areas while you're down there. So a bit of an awkward spawn here for Ludwig, spawning in the ooh, that you never like to see that. Alright, so this is one of the potentially more challenging things that can happen in these runs, is there are 2 baby penguins inside of Cool Mountain, and they can spawn anywhere in the map. And there are certain areas, as you see where Ludwig is here, that are extremely challenging to extract that baby from. There are a couple ways to do it, but the hope is that the other penguin is going to be. There are 2 penguins, one of them is the right one, and the mama penguin will say, "That's my baby, thank you so much," and give you a star. And the other one will say, "I can't believe you can't tell these identical babies apart," and shame you for bringing the wrong baby. So the correct strategy here for sure is to bring the other baby first and hope that that is the right baby. Otherwise, we're in for a big challenge here. Okay, so Merken inside of Lethal Lava Land. Lethal Lava Land, I'd say one of those sort of mid-range levels, not terribly difficult, not terribly easy. It can be challenging sometimes to make sure you get like enough coins for like 100 coin star perhaps, which it seems like Merken's going for before entering that volcano. It is one of the worlds that has a larger subworld, and you can't exit that subworld once you've entered it, which means if you don't enter with enough coins, you are basically stuck recollecting coins for some other opportunity to do 100 coins. So you'll see Merken here absolutely making sure that they have enough coins to enter that volcano. Viper up in Rainbow Ride, perhaps going for, yep, looks like 100 coins. Again, you can see the choices of these runners. Ludwig continuing to grab some of the easier stars and faster stars, and ending up a few stars ahead, and the other 2 runners choosing some of the more difficult time-consuming stars, such as 100 coins, to make sure that they don't have to deal with those later on, and can manage to power through loops and not have to worry about it too much. Though, as I say that, Ludwig has decided, it looks like, to go for 100 coins inside of Cool Mountain. doing some slide ground pound kicks. Make sure they get enough of those. You can always re-enter the slide, but it is slow, so you don't want to. Alright, so doing some wind fighting over in Rainbow Ride is Viper. Long jump, making sure they nail that. It can be a little spicy to do some of those jumps that really take you across some of these platforms. If your camera angle is just a little bit wrong, you are going to fall to your death and lose 83 coins, which is painful. I did a bingo race recently where I had 99 coins after entering a subworld and had to, unfortunately, there were just not quite enough that spawned in bounds. And I had to collect another random star and do that again, so it can be pretty tough to lose a bunch of coins. But it looks like Viper is getting pretty close here. You need 10 more, and you're going to get quite a few coins from that guy right there. I believe he drops 5. Yep. And I see, yep, the line of 5. So no problems there from Viper. Merkin has found Wing Cap. You generally want to find Wing Cap. You know, earlier is better. There are certain levels that really benefit from having Wing Cap. In particular, often Fallen Battlefield is useful because although you get to the island without the Wing Cap, it is much easier to do so with it. And also I find it helpful in the shifting sand lands because often there are stars that spawn like over the quicksand that can kill you very easily if you make a mistake. And there are also stars that spawn like on the slopes of the pyramid. And those are frustrating to say the least if you don't have the Wing Cap. Because again, you can very easily miss your first jump and then slide to your doom. Ludwig getting pretty close here. I think they see all the coins they need to collect their 100 coin star. They spawn it and they'll get that. And it looks like I see a star. Okay, they're going for reds. They're reds. Makes sense. You usually want to do reds with the 100 coin star. It's not a requirement. And in some places, like Tiny Huge Islands, obviously in like a real, non-randomized 120 star, you would collect them at the same time. In most cases, however, actually, I think in the current 120 star, they don't collect them at the same time. But yeah, so THI has all of its reds in this very specific area, and so it doesn't always make sense to collect it with your 100 coins. But in places like Opal Mountain, it usually does. Alright, so we see Merkin also, perhaps, yep, looks like going for 100 coins here. Both of the, you'll notice all the runners, there's a star right above Merkin's head right now. You'll notice them leaving that. That's pretty common. They know where that is. They haven't forgotten about it. They're not ignoring it. They're taking a very specific note of where that is. And they're going to make sure that they route that into their future strategies. But knowing where it is, knowing there's an easily accessible one, if they get a weird spawn, or if they're just trying to collect some perhaps to open a star door, players are going to be taking note of all these things. I know that 2 of our players are using a tracker. I don't know which tracker they're using, but the trackers are going to help them keep track of things like where the different levels lead to, and perhaps which stars they've gotten from those levels, but they aren't going to keep track of very specific things like the placements of those open stars or the boxes, and that's just up to the runners to keep into their heads. So in a 120 star run, you are tracking a lot of data. Alright, we see Merkin here also doing 100 coins in CCM, also doing the slide ground pounding shenanigans, which are just par for the course. Anytime you're on a slide and it has coins you need, you're going to have to do some ground pounding. Alright, so we do see that Viper spawns the baby star and did not have to do too many crazy things for it. Ludwig is in Tiny Huge Island. Tiny Huge Island is one of those very perilous levels. It doesn't seem too unassuming, especially on the big side here. But there's a small side to this level where they're going to have to collect a bunch of secrets for one, and those secrets can very often kill you. The other thing in this level that can kind of kill you sometimes is this wind. You'll see as they fight with these different enemies, getting hit by one of these fireballs and having to fight with the wind really push you off. You're running around, by the time you regain control, you're not in a good spot. You have these throwing guys, so who almost gets picked up there. Ludwig immediately gets tossed to their doom, and that could have been one of those examples where it's very easy to just kind of die out of nowhere. So this level, unassumingly dangerous, especially considering it's not one of the very later levels. The really possibly unfortunate, or frustrating thing I should say, about Tiny Huge Island and dying there, especially in Randomizer, is that the deaths you take are more often than not a little unfair. I would say that in something like TikTok Clock, bonking on an invisible wall feels a little unfair. But THI is usually something you could have avoided, but you were just trying to go fast or be a little creative. So you see Ludwig peeking down into that lower area to see if there's anything they need without having to necessarily go down into there. And we have two runners, both Merken and Viper, currently in CCM. Merken's still looking for those final few coins to close out their 100s, and Viper as well. They're at 96 and 97 respectively, so very, very close between the two of them. You see Merken has collected a few other fast stars ahead of Viper, so they will both be increasing their star count by 2 very shortly now, which will catch them up to Ludwig, who has started to opt for some of those slower stars. As you see, we've gotten a 100 coin star, I believe, in the last level, and a 100 coin star it looks like they're going for in this level. So, as these runners fluctuate between faster and slower stars, depending on where their spawn locations are, it is going to certainly mean that they go back and forth on how fast to recruit those stars. Viper perhaps looking for that last red coin. Yep, and I believe they found it. I'm not sure if they're at 7 or 8. I would assume that they are at. Yeah, there you go. So 8. That wall kicks reward area, always a little frustrating. I believe Merken is looking for 2 more coins of any sorts to fill out their 100 coins. They're going to be slip-sliding their way through this whole level, looking for anywhere to find a couple more coins. Ludwig treading very carefully inside this cave, tiny huge island. Another place is very easy to die. All it takes is just one misstep on your camera, or one side flip when you meant to, you know, do a double jump or something. One little mistake and it is very easy. So we see here Merken and Viper grabbing their stars pretty much in sync. So that is good for both of them. You see them increase their star counts both. They get a few extra lives as well above those 100 coin stars, which is something else that can be valuable. If you run out of lives in this game, you do game over, just like in any other Mario game. And one frustrating thing about Randomizer is that you need to re-enter the seed when you game over and restart on that save stop if you want to continue. Merken going for the ship clip, get it, after taking a bit of a thrashing from the Mare. Ludwig now in, again, one of those stages that can bonk you to your demise without much forgiveness, and that is TikTok Clock. There are a lot of invisible walls here, but there are also 5 open stars. The only stars that you can get otherwise are, of course, reds and 100s. So that means that there is a lot of opportunity for speed and a lot of opportunity for falling to your doom. Merken doing a very common strategy here, which is, as this water drains, we want to be on top of this box that contains a star. And it looks like they missed a double ground pound. Ideally, what you can do here is you can do a ground pound and a second ground pound immediately after opening that box, and that lets you get the star before the water finishes draining. If you miss your alignment on the box or miss either of those ground pounds, that means that you are going to have to wait for the water to drain or swim backwards a little bit in order to pick up that star. So again, it's just saving maybe a second or two, but every second or two counts in. There we got Ludwig fighting the big bomb. Not getting a hill bob. I'm sure that whoever provided these seeds tested for hill bobs. So hill bob is when, currently in the original game, in vanilla, when your king gets thrown off the mountain and you're fighting him, if you throw him off the side of the cliff, he will fly back up to the top. And he'll say, hey, you can't throw me off. And he forces you to throw him to his death on top of the actual little platform you're fighting on, which makes total sense. However, in Randomizer, that check is basically just a height check. It says, hey, am I below my starting point by, you know, X degrees or X units or whatever. And if I am, then trigger that effect. So in Randomizer, there are if you throw him lower anywhere, so if you're on a slope, let's say, or you throw him off the lower ledge, he's going to get that same trigger. The problem comes when you throw him when he's on a slope, and you can't get him on the slope, he triggers that by walking down himself. So we call that hill mob, which means it is an ungettable Bomb King. It is one of the few ways inside of Randomizer that you can have a seed that truly can't be 120 starred. Alright, we got continuing Merken and Viper seem to be basically following each other's routes exactly. They are now both inside of THI and both going for 100 coins. So I believe these two are clearly in sync and have the exact same strategy. They've done almost identical stars, I believe, all along, starting from the very beginning. Ludwig has made their way into the red. Both doing battle with some piranha plants are Merken and Viper. The piranha plants can be very nice or they can be very frustrating. It really depends on where you get them. When you're going 100 coin stars, you generally don't want to kill the very last of the 5 piranha plants. You can if you want the 2 coins, absolutely. But when you kill the final piranha plant of the 5, it is going to spawn the star. And that star spawning animation locks your movement, and you're going to lose a few seconds waiting for that to spawn. And you definitely don't want to spawn stars more often than you have to. So it's very common to get 4 and then move on to other coins that are not going to lose you those few seconds. Of course, the runner is taking note because one of the stars does require getting all of those piranha plants. They're remembering where all 5 of those piranha plants are. So another reason to do 100 coins first, you essentially get to do a little world tour of that level and find out where are my boxes, where are my piranha plants, where are the open stars. So another reason in 120 you'll see a lot of racers going for those early. So again, the trade-offs definitely paying off. You also get 2 stars early on for going for a star plus 120. Again, usually reds. What the 100 coin star. Ludwig going for a little, like a glitch, let's say, but pushed off by the bomb. That is a very unfortunate death for Ludwig there. That was nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. Other runners are going to encounter that in the future, I suppose. That is one of the common ways to progress through the level. And Ludwig dying at 94 coins. That is one of those situations that it feels extra punishing, but is just a part of races here. Ludwig now going for one of the skips that we do to get one of the faster stars, the Big Penguin race. It is, we can do the whole race, but that is, sorry, not the Big Penguin race, the regular non-Big Penguin race. It is slow to do that, so we just get most of the course. We do go through that course twice though, once to get our coins for 100 coin star, and then once to race the Big Penguin, who does not let us cheat. Merken picking up star number 14, Viper picking up star number 12, and Ludwig picking up star number 13. So you can see again, all these racers pretty close, and Viper picking up one of those fast open stars in Rainbow Ride because they got a good spawn for it, and they're up to 13 as well. So all of our runners here within a star of each other. Ludwig losing any slight advantage on star count they would have had due to that death, unfortunately. Another place that you can bonk, so you see Merken do just as I say that, is your tricky triangles. Not a particularly difficult place, I'd say, but it's one of those places where, again, when you're trying to move fast, you want to make sure that you don't just slide off one of those triangles and have to do the whole set again. Sometimes a little bit of patience can be beneficial. Merken grabbing their penguin, and they're about to find out, is this penguin the right penguin? And the answer is, this is the right penguin. Viper doing a little bit of a dance here inside of the Metal Cap stage. Metal Cap, there are some very cheeky plays you can do here in Metal Cap depending on the placement of the red coins. Red coins that are near the walls in Metal Cap, you can actually do a long jump and then a wall kick to get back to on the platform so you don't lose the time of falling into the water. but it's not applicable for every one of these coins, and it is very difficult to do. It looks like most of these are not placed in a way such that Viper could do that. And often those are easy to bonk with anyway, because your camera tends to kind of flip around strangely. Ludwig looks like they succeed in that double box star slam inside the sunken ship. And Merken picks up, I didn't see exactly what star that was, perhaps just the open one, yes. So Merken now taking quite a lead after grabbing a few fast stars, up to 17. Ludwig sneaking along the pipe there, looking out onto this platform to find their first secret inside of the THI. As you can see here, the camera not cooperating very well with just makes it escape the Ludwig. The camera not cooperating with Ludwig. That is a hallmark of THI. Is small platforms with a difficult camera while you're trying to do some pretty challenging platforming. We see Merken also in THI, the small side. I would not be surprised to see either runner necessarily take a near-death or death experience here, simply because getting these secrets can be challenging. And it is very easy to hit the side of this mountain just wrong or catch a fireball and have a bad time. And Merken sees the final one and goes for a jump, just barely makes it, and spawns that star. Now you might think, how is Merken going to get out of this area? They are stuck, aren't they? No. There is a secret teleporter bringing them back to safety right next to the star they want to get. So a very convenient spawn there for that star. Bringing us 580 secrets. Viper exploring the house up top. Taking a bit of a ride, and Ludwig also spawning their final secret into a small star. Merken is collecting some coins and boxes inside of TikTok clock in a stopped clock. For anyone who doesn't know, if you enter TikTok clock with a different time on the clock, it gives you different results. If you enter it with the hand pointing towards 12 o'clock, it's going to be a stopped clock, as you see here. If you enter it with it pointing at 3 or 9, it will be just regular moving clocks. There's different speeds. And then at 6 o'clock is crazy clock, and that does all kinds of different stuff. It's generally ideal to go in at the 12 o'clock time, because that lets you platform with a little bit more confidence. Ludwig also grabbed the star inside of TTC. Notice here Ludwig doing exactly what I say, which is standing in front of the clock, doing a few punches to move themselves closer, so that when they are prepared to enter, they will enter at that 12 o'clock time. There is only one box in Bob on the battlefield, so Ludwig knows that this will contain a star. And that is a fast star to just grab. Merken having a little trouble with some of those loose coins inside of TikTok. There are enough coins inside of TTC that you can miss a few, and usually still not have any trouble.
Here we go!
Alright, Ludwig has returned, it seems, to their nemesis, the 100 coin star. I see them defeating some enemies and chasing one individual coin, which you only do if you're going for the 100 coins. So let's see if they can get it this time. They now know about the peril they faced previously, so hopefully they can avoid taking that same death. Merken opening up boxes here inside of TikTok. Okay, it's maybe it's system connected to a call, but it looks like Discord had a little bit of a hiccup of some sort. So I'm going to keep talking as if people can hear me, and if we can, I'll make some sort of statement as Discord stops doing a spinning loading of Doom. We can still see the streams just fine. So we see Viper here collecting their final stars. Final coins, rather, just get the 100 point star. And hopefully that spawns in a good position for them.
Here we go! Here we go! Hegel! Here we go!
Sorry about that. Discord just kicked me out of that channel, but I've been watching the streams all along. So we see a few under challenging stars being collected here. And it looks like Viper is collecting that star inside of THI, not taking a death there, which is always good, getting those piranha plants, remembering where they previously were from exploring during their other adventures inside of THI. Ludwig getting that penguin. You gotta be careful you don't cheat on that penguin. The penguin will check to see if you are cheating. If you skip any part of the level, or if there's a point in which you have a go too high even near the end, it will think you are cheating. Viper going for those 100 coin stars inside of TikTok Clock. I don't know if this is their first trip in TikTok Clock. I don't quite remember if we've been here before. So, but if they have, they know the certain level. Being careful to avoid collecting that number 3 star by accident. There are quite a few clusters of boxes in the spawning of TikTok Clock. You can see one of them here. So while they do their 100 point adventure, we'll take a look back over with our current star count leader of Merken, who is now doing their adventure with the 100 point star. Let's see if they fare better than Ludwig did in their first 100 coin attempt inside Rainbow Drive. Obviously, some secret attempts going to go better once you know about all the perils where all the points are. Viper, unfortunately, taking one of those often experienced deaths inside of TikTok Clock. There are just so many places to bonk and slide off inside of that world. It is really a again, a very fast world if everything goes right, and a very dangerous world if you are not cautious about all the different bonking locations. Alright, Viper has found the king, also not quite on a hill. Even that slight hill that the king is on right now, if you were to walk him too low down that, there is a chance that he would say, hey, you've thrown me off my mountain. So you'll see Viper here actually throwing the king up the mountain. That ensures that one bomb actually lands a teeny bit sooner, being a little bit faster, because when they hit the ground, you can grab them sooner. It also ensures that they don't get that message, which loses a few seconds every time because you get a text box and the king talks to you. Merken spawning their 100 coin star without taking a death, so all good news there. I'm not sure what star Ludwig is going for. They're making their way perhaps towards Wiggler, but I didn't see what they were doing at the beginning of this, so Wiggler is certainly my guess right now. Continuing their way up. No, not quite Wiggler. Unless they open the top and they're not going for the clip. Nope, just looking around, seeing what's up there, perhaps looking for a box. Alright, Viper kills the king, takes his star from him. Merken doing our cheesy little slide skip here. Nice and easy. If you don't get enough speed off of that, you sometimes need to do a dive onto one of those earlier platforms and take a slightly longer ride. But for the most part, if you are careful, you can usually clear yourself all the way down. The first time you do that trick, when you're learning it, it feels like quite the challenge in a way, just because you're kind of falling for a long time. It's very easy to bonk on the inside of the wall there, or to not get enough speed, like I said. But once you've done it a few times, that's a pretty standard trick. You notice here Viper not going to go for the trick. Like I said, it is faster, but the Penguin has several triggers throughout the race that we have to see if you are in bounds or not. There's also a secret wall that you can go through here. That skip that Viper did just there, though, there are only a certain set amount of triggers. So, I believe that skips one of the sections without skipping one of the triggers. So we will see if they got that correctly. And if the Penguin gives them a star, and it says they did. So that is the only skip you can do there. Doesn't skip quite as much. Merken talking to the eel. That eel is unlocked by going inside the ship. And inside the ship is how you get the eel to come out of the ship, because the ship disappears, and then they appear inside of that little area where you can coax them out. We have a specific spot where we reach above that eel, just kind of clip a little bit to the ground. That allows us to be close enough to get them out, but also not so close that we get the chunk taken out. We'll see what Viper is going for here inside of their Jolly Roger. Looks like perhaps they are coaxing out an eel, so I suspect they will be going to the ship themselves. It's a good idea to raise that ship a little sooner than not, because there are valid spawn locations for things like stars and red coins, where the ship would be once it's raised. And that means that if you don't raise the ship early enough and you're doing, let's say, red coins, you may collect a few red coins and then look up and see that there is one that you just cannot get to without perhaps trying for a cheeky cannon shot, which is slow and high variance. So generally a good idea to raise that ship up, unless you are confident that you have enough resources to collect other things, or unless you spawn, let's say, right next to an open star or a box star. The Merken maintaining their slight lead in stars here. 25, 23, and Viper will be collecting their 23rd star as well. So the runner's pretty close. If Ludwig had not taken that unintended death, they would be at 25, I believe. Perhaps, depending on the routing. Spawning down here inside of the wall kicks will work area in Cool Mountain, but it's just not useful at all. If there's occasionally something down there that you want. There's an open star, very rarely, but for the most part, spawning down there just means it's a few second time loss. Alright, we see Viper here going for, okay, gets it, going for the mountain clip. This is a way to get into Wiggler, to that fight. It's not a terribly difficult clip. The problem is that if you're off in the wrong direction, you can miss that water that you saw Viper swim up through and end up just falling to your death. Also, if you're a little off on your timing, doing a roll out through, you will simply just slide slightly embarrassingly up and down the mountain. But Viper has no trouble with it and makes quick work. Merken getting their red points inside of Yobi and doing your 100-point star at the same time, as one might expect. Avoiding talking to the king. This is another one of the situations where it is nice to have already unlocked the wing cap. It's not necessarily a tremendous amount faster, but it just gives you more mobility options to route more meaningfully. You'll notice here that Merken isn't actually immediately going to take flight, but should they choose to move to a different area, perhaps go across here, without going down, gaining full speed, that is going to be faster to get between those pillars. Ludwig also taking on our friend Wiggler. Probably just making short work of him as well. And it takes a little bonk, but gets him with the belly on the bounce. Alright, Viper now making a quick accumulation, rather, of those coins. TikTok Clock is another one of those stages where weird things can happen. One of the good things that can happen is you can accidentally collect stars quite easily here. I think every one of us has, while playing inside of TikTok Clock, just gone ahead and gone, whoops, I fell into a star I already collected in the middle of my 100-coin star. Those blue stars are something, whether you bonk off or whether you just drop down from high above and don't realize that you are falling into something you no longer need. Another strategy some runners will take sometimes is if they have a very difficult placement on some of these stars, let's say at their wall at the very top, the placement of the stars can change depending on what time you enter the clock, because of the different position of things like the clock hands or these blocks as you are going up during the different times. So if you have a bunch of bad spawns, you can say, okay, let's move it so that we spawn at a different time. You can see here is an example of the mess. Here we have 4 boxes and currently 3 stars and a red coin, all stacked on top of each other. Viper finds that and takes a moment to observe and assess how they should approach this. And here we see again Viper doing kind of free falls down. Runners have to take careful note as they're going up the clock where those stars are, so they don't accidentally end up falling as well. Merken going still for their 100-point star inside of POV. Not the slowest star in the game by any means, but definitely one who takes an unfortunate bump there. Gonna do some butt slide kicks to get their way up. Alright, Viper finds their first toad. There are 3 toads, 1 in the basement and 2 upstairs. Normally in the game there is 1 in Tippy, which is the very top area. There is 1 in the sort of regular upstairs and there's 1 in the basement. But since the loading zones are shared between Tippy and the regular upstairs, in Randomizer, either of those 2 toads can spawn in either of those places. So they may both be in Tippy, they may both be in the staircase leading up to the upstairs. Both are possible, but the basement toad is always in the basement. The basement toad unlocks at 12 stars. The toad that would normally spawn inside of the upstairs is 25, and 35 for the So it's generally a good idea to just say like, okay, let's go ahead and get our 35 or 25 stars first before we really go looking for those, so we can get both. But if you run into a toad, why not talk to it? Right, we're doing some more castle stars here, grabbing their bunny. There are 2 bunnies. One spawns at 15 and one spawns at 50. It is generally a good idea to route your way such that you go through all of the areas and end up in the basement with at least 50 stars. So you don't want to complete all the basement stages necessarily before getting your 50 stars, because then you have to manually come down here, whereas otherwise you can loot them. Viper got an unfortunate spawn animation on the door there. That happens when the star door count is equal to the vanilla amount of star door count. The vanilla star door counts have a specific trigger that says, hey, play the sparkling animation. So if one of the star doors inside of the castle is equal to, let's say, 3 or 1, they would play that because in the regular game there are doors that open at 3 and 1. Viper talks to their second toad. There are only 2 toads in the basement. One is a fake toad, as we call it, and one is a real toad. Also now going for their Cap is not a top stage, but there are going to be some tough placements because, as you can see here, there is no way in the game to gain height with the wing cap, which means that once you go too low to be able to pick up points, it means that you can no longer get up there. You need to restart this whole stage. More cannons in the stage to bring you up, and just make sure that you route accordingly and don't miss your point. Ludwig here, after a little bug, it looks like he might go talk to our pal Koopa the Quick. Koopa the Quick, a not very fast start. I will wonder what Ludwig will do with their minutes of extra time as they progress here. We can beat Koopa if we went at a leisurely stroll, and if we are going to do any sort of bypassing, such as these wall kicks, or going up that slow that we went up before, or taking these teleporters, we can beat Koopa pretty handily. So we'll tag the flag, and then Ludwig's gonna just look around, perhaps maybe see if they can find any information, or just hang out with this Goomba. Merken on tour, they have no coins, so not going for 100 coins here. It's just perhaps looking for some information. Viper grabs that star. They've been aware of this whole time since I think, the 2nd or 3rd level that they entered. Like Merken is swinging for chests. This is the opening of the first view. Let's spawn their chest star. Chests can be very fast or very slow. Sometimes you end up with 4 chests near each other. Sometimes you spawn right next to the number 1 and number 2, and then you swim out of maybe the cave, and there's the number 3 and number 4. But sometimes 1 is in the cave, 2 is on the beach, 3 is in the cave, and 4 is, up on the platforms that you use to get to the ship. And that can be much slower. Viper stealing the eel's star, waiting in the same sort of position that you talked about before. Quite sure what Merken is doing here. I don't necessarily know this strat, actually. No, it's just a little shortcut all the way to the top here. That's cool. I have never done that. I wonder how much time that saves over doing sort of like a side kick or a triple jump to get up there. Little tech. Benefit of watching some other runners is that they do things differently than you. And they may have some spots that are faster than the way you may approach her. Always learn. So you see Viper taking one of the more traditional routes up there, which is to do a kick off that wall and grab that ledge. Finding their box. And opening it up. There are 3 boxes in THI, and 1 has a star. I see Ludwig with 27 coins in Rainbow Ride. Not sure if they're going for points here. They're thinking. Some contemplation going on. Yep. Picking up this guy and throwing him means we can be pretty sure that they are going to try to reclaim their glory in the 100-point star here, which has been savagely taken from them in the past. Merken finding secrets, it looks like. I saw a secret get collected, so you don't collect those unless you're collecting all. Secrets are one of those things that is nice as you are going around and looking up, like your 100 coin star, looking for the king, finding your box. You are taking note of where are all of these secrets, because you're going to be coming back for them eventually. Alright. Ludwig now aware of the peril and pausing. You can see a strategy, very important to keep in mind, is pausing. Pausing gives you an overview. Ooh, just barely jukes that threat from last time. Pausing gives you an overview of the world. There are certain levels where pausing doesn't do that, especially like indoor levels. But in places like Rainbow Ride, you're going to get an overview of the entire level sort of from a distance. It switches to a different camera. And we can use that to assess threats, as you saw Ludwig doing, or to do things like search for stars. So it's very common in some place like Tall Mountain to go ahead and say like, hey, let's look at an overview of the level, and let's say you spawn somewhere in the middle, you press pause, and you can see the level above you and the level below you. And that can save you some time of having to actually traverse those areas to look through them. Merken grabbing one of those open stars, nice and fast. Ludwig searching, hoping they don't necessarily have to go to the very top. That is always the dream, is to have to go all the way up to the roof. Fortunately, most of the time there is something on the roof. Very often a red coin, but sometimes just something simple like star. Ludwig grabbing that 100 coin star. They are now safe. A death here is obviously not ideal before they collect another, but they have collected the 100 coin star. That gets saved regardless. They are no longer in danger of just dying and losing 90-something points worth of progress. So there's got to be a great relief there after having suffered that fate earlier on. We see Viper doing everybody's favorite carpet ride and taking a peek to see that there is in fact a star up there. Doing some breakdancing moves, waiting for this. The carpet ride is just a part of pretty much every 120-star run in pretty much every category. If you get a rainbow ride without a carpet, it is a delight, but it is rare. Getting carpet rides is definitely not a reset by any measure, because almost everyone's going to have it. But occasionally, you see, unfortunately, here we have some need to really ride the carpet, and so all of our runners are going to find that out at one point or another, which is there is a lot of action on the roof, which every time we need to ride that carpet, we're going to slow the entirety of these runs down by a couple minutes. Chat choosing this particular seed has chosen to have them enjoy 10 minutes or so of carpet riding. Blame yourselves. Ludwig checking, hoping that this is in fact correct. And it is. It does not have to do a very challenging movement strategy. Let's go that this is the correct speed. Merken getting their 100 coins inside of JRB. Looking, I'm assuming for red coins here to close out. I don't believe they've gotten that yet. Doing a quick peek to make sure they don't leave anything, and they would have if they were not careful. Not a great red coin. Long time per spot, but nothing you can do about that. The red coin little spawner marker here is set. Ludwig might get bonked here if they're not careful on the seal. And they are fine. We use that little bit of the lip there, which I mentioned. What that also does is it gives us good placement, but it also keeps us from moving too much because there's a slight slope. And as we slide down that slope, it pushes us up. And as we are pushed up that slope, the gravity of naturally kind of floating down pulls us down. So that lets us stay in a very good spot. Merkin grabs their red coins and their 100 coin star. Our runners are now sitting at 39, getting 38 for Viper, and I believe 32, 33 for Ludwig. So Ludwig, having gotten off to a very strong start in terms of count, has slowed down a bit. But remember, that is also because there are going to be back and forths. If Ludwig has chosen to do some slower stars, compared to Viper or Merkin, they're going to have much easier things. Here we can see a very easy start from this box. That's going to take just a second or two, and they already are catching up.
Here we go!
Viper using, I forget the names of those enemies that spin you, the Pebble Boys, flower-headed guys, to spin their way down to a very difficult star spawn. It is possible to get to that otherwise, but that is a very good use of enemy placement and getting the enemy right where you want them. So some clever movement by Viper there to avoid losing time, going down there, doing some difficult wall kicks and slope kicks. So very wise move by Viper. Ludwig surveying the clock inside of TTC. Taking a peek, see how things look. Check, make sure these are working order. Viper saving themselves half a second or so, clipping through that wall. Inside of Jeremy, I watched like a timing video of that, and it is a very small time save, but it is technically a time save, and if you know how to do it, then you can certainly go for it. And the nice thing about that particular one, there are certain ones that are big time loss if you miss, but it's actually not very minimal time loss. You just kind of keep moving along and go into the game normally. Merkin waiting to get into that clock perfectly at the 12 o'clock and time. Merkin taking another fast star here as well. Ludwig has found an interesting pole. I don't know if I've seen that before. I wonder if this will work. It does work. What an unusual thing. I wonder if something spawned below that. I've never seen a pole spawn like that up in the open. This is a race, so I know they're not going to ground pound that pole, but I do wonder what happens if you ground pound that pole. Well, again, you see something new every day. And today it's floating logs. Let's see, they're going to do a courtesy here and try ground pounding if they can get up there. Don't waste too much time. Just moves on down. Oh, there you go. Wonderful. You put it in the right place. Thank you. Thank you, Ludwig. I appreciate you replacing that pole back where it belongs. Fits in with his brethren. We also now know that those poles don't shrink when they get ground pounded. They just literally move that. They move that object down. So, thank you for writing what was wrong there. Alright, Merkin doing their first carpet ride, I believe. They might have missed one, but I do not think that's the case. They will be heading all the way up, and they will be finding out just exactly what is waiting for them at the top, which is a few frames. Ludwig, I see collecting a bunch of coins. Anytime I look over at somebody, and I haven't looked at their screen in a few seconds, and I see a coin count of like 5, I can be pretty confident that they are going for 100 coins, because there's really no reason to collect coins otherwise, other than those few times where you go up to like, 16 collecting the reds. Merkin also doing a little breakdancing as they wait. Hopping off to avoid that point where, because it's not save nor lose any time to do really anything on this carpet ride. You cannot totally leave the carpets and let it be small. Oh, this is their second carpet ride, so they knew it was coming for him. I see that number 5 collected, so Merkin now has cleared out both those stars up at the top. And they're total up to 3? I Viper's up to 42, putting Ludwig at 34. Ludwig has definitely a little bit of catching up to do. They are currently Koopa shelling their way to success. They will be grabbing 2 stars here from this 100 coin reds inside of the OB, which will come up a little bit. Again, I'm not sure exactly what stars each of these runners have, but if Ludwig has fast stars remaining, gets that. Oh, and back up to the top. That is an unfortunate little back traversal that have to be done. Let's see what Merken's going for again. This is the star. The snowman, okay, yep. The snowman star there, the only stage that requires you to enter it 3 times, I believe, is Woodland. You must unlock the snowman. You must, so you have to enter once for most of your stars. You have to enter a second time in order to get the penguin race, because you must do the penguin race in order to do the regular slide, the normal penguin slide, and then in order to unlock the snowman, you have to enter a 3rd time. So it does require you to go in 3 times, so that means that even in non-stop, where we otherwise don't have to exit levels, that is a situation where we must exit. Ludwig makes their way back to the top after getting bullied by some boulders. Cannonballs? What are those giant black spheres? They're dangerous, is what they are. Alright, Ludwig back in their Nemesis stage. Merken getting the clip to go fight Wiggler, our final racer to do battle with the, I suppose he is a, not a Caterpie, that's the Pokemon, you know what I'm talking about, Caterpie of some sort. There's probably some deep lore that somebody is very disappointed you don't know about Wiggler's specific species. They defeat Wiggler, no problem. Turning on 3. Looks like Ludwig is just making their way across to the triangles, having noticed that there is in fact a star going to grab over here. No, figured that would work on many triangles. Like we're entering one of our again stages that when you spawn in this at something like 70 star, you say, cool, I die immediately. Because you just want to get out of the stage as fast as possible. But in 120 star, you want to get those red coins because you need absolutely all of the stars. And that includes the stars you don't really want to get. So, when you start at the bottom and just work your way up, I assume that we would not have, yes, so technically there are red coins that can spawn on top of that cage, which are quite a nuisance to deal with. They are technically possible to get, but they are not super practically possible to get, if that makes sense. It is a very tight trick. Much tighter than something that's, you know, just a little challenging. Like some of the other coaches our runners have been doing here. It's the kind of thing where you have to do a lot of setup and kind of nudge your way along on the edge of the level. It's not super fun to watch. It's really so glad we don't have to deal with that. They are going to make their way up, and in the situation, the red coin star spawn will be nice near the top. Just proceed onward and collect it, but sometimes you gotta go all the way back down. But the benefit of going from the bottom to the top is that if these go down, it's much faster to fall. Like we've seen, there is in fact a red coin there. Another place red coins can spawn is right there, which is inside, technically, of that funnel. Now that funnel takes you to the boss, and the red coins can spawn. You see how that box is spawned far back there? It can spawn even on the other side. And again, that is technically possible to get, but it is not super fun. Here, this looks like not a terribly difficult one if Viper gets the right angle and can manage to avoid falling into the slide, which they do. Good job, Viper. Here, you can see there that does require a little bit of finesse. I do believe they probably could have gotten past missed it, but being that that was the last point they spawned, the camera gave them a little trouble there. But they recovered very nicely. Merken meets up with our buddy Koopa after challenging them to a race, and surprisingly, very tight one. Koopa almost got him that time. Almost. And here you can see use of the ring cap to get quickly through the level. Again, a reason to unlock that. Pressing that switch can, if you don't collect a star and the switch in the same jump, you do lose a second or two reading a text box, but it is totally worth it for the mobility you gain, even if you have to do that. Ludwig working on another 100 coin star, this time in JRB. Just making their way through. It's a nice range, conveniently placed next to some lines of coin. Not terribly unlucky. There's a lot of rings out in a similar area. Sometimes you spend a while. These rings have a very short spawning radius in terms of you need to be very close to them to actually spawn. So sometimes they spawn right out in the open water above kind of where the eel, the moray, and the ship are, and that means you need to swim quite close to them to actually be able to see them. And unfortunately, that can waste a bit of time if they're like against the wall. But not too difficult this time. They have a lot of nice easy points. Viper finally finds Wet Dry World. This is one of those worlds speedrunners love Wet Dry World because it has a ton of mobility options. However, I've read a lot that casual players quite don't like Wet Dry World. It is often reviewed as one of the least favorite levels, and I believe that's because if you don't know all the shortcuts, you're doing a lot of like flipping switches to raise the water and swimming around, and it's a bit tedious, but we do not touch any water switches. As a matter of fact, it is objectively always bad for us to touch water switches here, because even the water switches on the very floor are going to create what we call a kiddie pool. And the kiddie pool means that sometimes you'll be wading through water, slowing you down quite a bit compared to using your usual dive movements and full jumps. And if you touch one of the top switches, you may actually not even be able to lower the water down low enough to do something like break a box. So, switches aren't bad for us. And if you accidentally touch a switch and create a kiddie pool, it usually doesn't prevent you from actually being able to get whatever star you're working on, but it feels bad, man, you know? Merken looks like they're going for a few of the castle items as well now. You can see that they have exactly 50 stars and they are going for this rabbit. I did not catch if it's their first or second rabbit, I might have missed it, but either way, 50 is exactly the point where you want to be making sure you get that rabbit. 51. Nice cute little dive by Viper to get their star that they have been working on. Alright, I believe Ludwig is now in their very last star inside of EOB. So they've clearly been clearing out. I think Ludwig rather, clearing out these levels a little more methodically, perhaps. Going through and kind of finding the loops and clearing them out, whereas the other two players do a little bit more exploration. You see a little glitch that happens in Randomizer that Merken just saw. When you spawn inside of the room where the portals are, because inside of the HMC, the renderer for the wavy effect doesn't quite render in yet, and you get a nice blue void, and as you approach it, it doesn't pass to rectify it. It never quite works out before you jump into it. And Viper finding another one of the more important and faster stages, which is going to be the Tall Mountain. Tall Mountain has 4 open stars. 1 star you must collect by chatting with the monkey, and there are, of course, the usual 100 point threads. Looks like we see Viper doing the usual touring approach of collecting their reds and 100s, and then they're going to presumably remember where all their things are. See if they cannot throw them off. They successfully do not throw them off. They chuck them. That bomb did not want to give up their coin and sacrifice themselves to the pit. So Viper's going to be doing a tour here. There's a lot of places to fall off technically. technically inside of Tall Tall Mountain, but it is relatively rare to take deaths here because there's a nice ground floor platform that usually catches you, regardless of quite how bad you spill. It is very difficult to really take a death. It happens because, you know, it's not like VOV where there's no way to fall, but usually you can recover even if it costs you 15 seconds of climbing. So it looks like Merken going for reds and presumably 100 inside of Easy Maze Cave. Easy Maze Cave being possibly the slowest to do red to 100 points because you need to traverse such a large level with a lot of elevators. Depending on where you spawn, it can really affect what route you take, depending on where the red coin star spawner is, that little blue spinning star on the ground. That can mean that you might have to go, starting from the very top, go all the way down, collecting all these red coins, and then go all the way back up. And it's just very easy to miss them. There's a lot of spots where the camera doesn't quite hit, or only hits when you're at certain angles. And that means that there are often times where you are retracing your steps looking for that final red coin. Places like up here where Merken is now, red coins can spawn in these areas, and they can be really easy to miss it. Very easy to also overlook some place like the starting room. You can see there Merken doing exactly those sort of looks that I'm talking about to ensure that they do not have to come back and check this place. They want to be 100% sure that there is nothing in this zone before they say, okay, I'm moving to somewhere else. It is just such a time loss to have to do the agency dance. Ludwig checking in with our friends the Toads. In the upstairs, there is one fake toad and two real toads. Entering Lethal Lava Land for the first time, Ludwig does finally find it. They spawn right next to what is the slowest star, so I might as well get started on it, of the 100 coins, of course, which is probably pretty similar. There are a bunch of these little bullies throughout the level, and normally there is a specific platform in the game that has all of the bullies that you need to kill on it. And when you kill all those bullies, it spawns a big bully, and that platform over there on the right that I believe Bug will be going to next, yep, right there. That one is going to be where all those normally spawn, but since we're in Randomizer, they can spawn anywhere. However, there are also bullies throughout the level that do not count towards your star requirement for killing those bullies. In previous versions of Randomizer, there was no difference between them, and you just kind of had to hope and guess and kill all the bullies. Now we have added sparkles to the bullies that are important, and that means that we know which ones to kill. When you kill all three of those bullies, you spawn the big bully. That is sort of the boss of them. And you'll notice here there are two big bullies, because there is a big bully that spawns for star number 1, and there is a big bully that spawns for the star when you defeat all of them. You'll notice that even though Ludwig spawned that star, they see it's star number 1, which means that is not actually the right star they want to grab. Okay, it's star number 2. So they are going to leave that because they did not know I was which guy. Fortunately, we have also labeled those stars. Previously, those stars were unnumbered, and that was a bit of a nuisance because you simply had to hope that you got the right one. So, a few quality of life improvements going on in regards to interacting with some of those unknown enemies and objects. Viper finding their way into Vanish Cap, a good spawn. Spawning up at the top here is generally ideal because you almost always end up kicking your way up here anyway. You can see that although in this situation it is nice, you can see where the red star spawner is, red coin star spawner is, and it is also near the top, which means that they wouldn't be coming back here anyway. So not necessarily actually optimal to be up here, but in general where you want to spawn, it also kind of lets you check where things are on your way down. You notice Viper leaving that one star, that one going over there, and I believe going back up to retrieve it. They might have been able to get that on their way back up when they actually went to collect the star, but they're next to it and they won't get that too. Okay, Merken catching their next bunny. Stealing the star from them. Those bunnies, there are specific ways to grab them using the dives, and there are specific like points that are ideal to corner them. If you're fast, they pretty much no matter where you are, there's a good angle to grab them at. But unfortunately, if you miss one of those dives, it means you are chasing them around, probably into a completely different corner. So it's very easy to kind of goof on those. Merken finds the basement toad. The wall kick for the run. Ludwig just killed one of those boos. Don't know if they meant to, but they're gonna collect that point anyway. Looks like they're going for reds and 100s, so. Alright, Merken actually getting a good spawn here in Wing Mario over the Rainbow. In Wing Mario over the Rainbow, you want to spawn as high up as possible at the very start because you are looking for 1 red coins. It is possible to do this cannonless, which means you do not actually need to turn on the cannon. However, most of the time, you're going to be looking for a pink bomb, who is going to open up all the cannons for you. And that can be on any of these platforms. So it's at the very top. Players may end up entering and exiting many times. If it's near the bottom, like it is here, you can usually grab it without too much trouble. So, you see Merken, it looks like, trying to clutch a few more coins. I'm not sure whether they feel like they hit the cannon. I do see a high up red coin, so I suspect they are going to return over this platform and have a chat with their friend on the bottom. This sort of unlocks this whole area. You may have noticed one of the runners earlier coming into here, spawning on the very bottom platform, and just immediately dying. There's nothing they can do. They're locked on that platform. Our star count's currently at 57, 51, and 45. So Merken taking a pretty handed lead here. But doing a little bit slower start now, which may give our other runners an opportunity to pick up. Ludwig has closed the gap slightly between themselves and Viper. So, evening out there, I believe they were down by more than 6. They are currently down by 6. And it looks like they are both working on the same start. Going for 100s and reds inside of the Igloo house. Ludwig checking out that room and finding nothing. Another room, nothing. A lot of rooms in BBH are just, what's in here? Nothing? Okay. Move along. In this particular room with Poppins, very rarely has anything. But it does have valid spawn conditions, and some of them are very close to the camera. So when you go in there, you usually have to check and ensure that it is in fact possible to miss things. So that's a little check we do as well, just kind of looking inside of that room. Normally the eye spawns in there, the big eye. Most of the time nothing else spawns in there, but it is possible for something like the big blue to spawn in there. And so we always take a quick peek to make sure that there are no objectives we need to grab inside of there if we're not sure. Ludwig lining up their jump for this red coin. You do not want to slide off the roof here. They grab it. And I believe they have seized our last red coin. It is also in a tough spot. You definitely want to make sure again that you make these jumps. There they are. And they also see a star up here that they'll have to grab later. So it's going to be a bit of an awkward spot for their 100 coin star. But they will be able to get it provided they don't slip here. Looks like they'll be fine. So they'll do it around to get enough height to get this in, most likely. Interesting camera choice, but they do in fact grab it. They will now just be looking to head back up to grab their red blaster. I believe there are 7 red blasters. Viper also spawning their 100 point star up on that roof. Let's faster and also take the slide. So, again, like I said, it's a bit of an awkward spot to grab your 100 coin star, and that is why. If players had known that they'd be grabbing their 100 coin star up there, they might have routed it differently, but already being in that situation, it is faster to just continue. Merken finds Snowman's Land. Snowman's Land has 3 open stars, 2 open stars, 3 open stars, a box star, and a boss star. So 3 box and a boss. There is a specific strategy for beating that boss quickly that doesn't involve you doing battle with the bulls. And so I suspect that when we fight the icy bull, you will see players take advantage of that strategy. Ludwig does get their 100 coins and gets their reds and gets out of there. Viper currently searching for their last round. And they're going to do a lot of first-person camera view to make sure they don't miss anything. Don't actually know where that last round point is and which ones they've picked up. So, weird side ground pound over by Merken. This is another situation where, as you can see, having the hat, the wing cap, that's what it's called. It's beneficial because there are places over on these that can be deadly otherwise. So. This is another one of those levels where there's a large sub-level inside of Shipping Sandland. Entering that pyramid takes you into basically a whole different level. And if you do not have the required coins for the 100 coin star before entering, you will not be able to proceed with the level. You'll have to either grab another star or saving the win. And it does look like Merken's going for 100s here, based on the fact that they're collecting those blue coins that come out of the spiny tower, guys. Having some trouble fighting in the quicksand, or not the quicksand, I guess it's not really quicksand, the deep sand, let's say. Trying to pick up that box for an extra 3 coins, but they do not need it necessarily if they do not have the ability to easily grab it, so they're going to go for some easier coins out here. Ludwig beating that other bully again, getting a less favorable star spawn this time, but they will be going for it. It's not too slow to get over there if you know your long jumps are correct. They're just going to long jump their way across this whole thing and take a little bit of damage. You want to bonk here, because if you bonk against that wall on your second one, it's very easy to do. Having a little bit of a challenge on the stairs. They're grabbing the shell to pick up a few straight ones over in SSL still. Again, making sure that they accumulate enough of those coins before they enter if they choose to do so. This is one where you simply cannot do 100 coins and reds at the same time because there are not 100 coins in total outside of the pyramid, and the reds are all outside of the pyramid. So although you'll see Merken collecting the red coins here, you will not see Merken collecting the store, I suspect. Ludwig finding the fake note, having a little chat going on. Okay, so offers them some sagely advice, but no stars. But yes, Merken does, in fact, enter without collecting the final red coin as anticipated. Now, not collecting the final red coin, normally what you do when you are doing reds is the way you exit the level is you collect the, when you're doing 100s rather, is you collect the red coin star as well. That is your ticket out. But since we are not collecting the reds, we need to pick another star to get us out of this level. And the star that Merken seems to have chosen, and makes the most sense here, is going to be secrets, because secrets also require a bit of a tour around the level here inside the pyramid. And so since we're going to be doing a bit of a tour anyway, to collect a lot of these loose coins, you can see there's a lot of these little one-off coins, we are going to need most of them. So Merken's going to go ahead and grab the secrets and collect the coins at the same time. I see Viper collecting some little one-off coins, suggesting to me that perhaps they are going for their HMC 100s and reds. they're certainly going perfect. Again, this is one of those reasons why it can be pretty slow to do the 100s reds in this level. It's because you do just a lot of swimming around here, collecting these individual items, and you're gonna have to ride an elevator up. And, you know, you don't necessarily know where that red coin star spawner is gonna be unless you've located it previously. So. Looks like Viper's trying to get up onto this platform and perhaps go over to here to collect. Yeah, just a few coins. Checking in this room. Maybe there's some coins here. I doubt they will be entering this stage. They're most likely just taking a look. Find nothing. Ludwig grabbing into the igloo, which is the subworld inside of Snowman's Land. There is a very small subworld that can also give you an impossible star spawn. If the star, there's an open star in there, it can spawn inside of a wall, because there is a platform that goes between two walls, and that platform is technically valid spawning location, which means that it is possible that you can end up with it spawning in a valid location on top of that platform, but inside of a wall. Luckily, it does not seem like we have that problem for this one. And by luckily, I mean assuming the seeds I was given were tested for it. Viper continuing their circumnavigation of the entirety of HNC. Taking a little slide here, but it's okay. But sliding down the slopes of that pit is not a death sentence, fortunately. You'll notice again, in a lot of these places, the runner is taking extra care to look like above the doorways. That's an often place in some of these levels, such as BBH and HPC, that red coins can hide, like sometimes even inside of those light fixtures, so you certainly have to take care to not overlook them. We're grabbing that one point, perhaps looking to bait this enemy lower to grab a couple more. Ooh, almost falls into a star there. That being exactly the kind of thing that can happen. It's more common in places like a TikTok clock, but certainly any level where there's some verticality, you can essentially fall in. And that would have really cost Viper 45 coins worth of time if they had fallen onto that. Viper does see it at the last minute and makes a move to not fall into it. I think they would have been most likely good if they did nothing, but if they kept moving forward in the way that they were, they probably would have fallen into it. See Merken here going for the 100 coins inside Snowman's Land. Not again, one of those average difficulty 100 coins. There's no real perils here, like nothing bad can happen, but it's not very fast. So you kind of just have to make sure that you're diligent about your movement here and clear out the areas as you go. So you don't want to have to come back to certain spots. So you can see here again, Merken taking the time to, before they move on from the section, even if they might not necessarily need those 2 coins, to make sure that they don't come back for it. I'm using a quick pause check to see if there's anything I want up at the very top. And going into the igloo after a walk.
Here we go!
Viper does spawn their 100 coin star. Opting not to say it because depending on what platform I'm playing on, slightly slower. It might be slightly slower than anything. I think like saving is it's like 4 frames, moving to no and yes is like 1 or 2 frames or something. Technically. And they will in fact spawn these stars and find where that is and collect it. Again, another benefit here, they are taking note. They just saw Viper says, I remember that number 1 star is inside of that tunnel, so they'll come back for that later, which is the benefit of ensuring they go through all of those. Viper isn't quite sure there it is, where that star is. They know it's in this hallway, but not necessarily there. Again, continuing to work on the 120 coins inside of Snowman's Land. Again, not a hard, but just, you know, kind of time-consuming star. So they've been kind of making their way through this. In the igloo, popping every enemy they can. There's always enough coins. They're also obviously grabbing their reds at the same time, using their pause check to see where that last red coin may be. They do see it, I believe. So that will spawn both those stars. Ludwig inside of their shipping sandland. One thing make sure that you don't miss. If you miss a single coin here, it can be a real nuisance because, like I said, I have entered this stage before with not quite enough and ended up with 99 inside of this in a race, and it is a real bummer. And Ludwig, having already felt some sting of losing coins earlier on, is going to be very diligent. Knowing every last Goomba, collecting every single coin. Because there is no escape if you do not have enough coins to get your 100 here. You simply must start all over. Merken using the mobility of the wing cap we spoke about earlier to grab that star. That's an exactly perfect example of one of those stars that with the wing cap is free, and without the wing cap is very perilous. If you take one long spill there and into the quicksand, continuing to be very diligent, getting every single one of these awkwardly placed coins because you never know which ones are going to be important. Doing those back kicks to try and make sure that they don't lose any coins if possible. Trying to figure out how they can get that without falling down. Looks like they have resigned themselves. Viper almost bonking, I believe, to their death there. Didn't quite catch that. Look over and see them in a corner on a shell and the quicksand. Not exactly the optimal place to be, but it's covered just swimmingly. Enemies and doing their same thing. All the runners just recently working on very similar coins, all in the same level now. Every single runner inside of shipping sandland, just trying to close out that particular level. Shipping sandland is quite perilous. That quicksand can kill you with very little warning. There are a lot of slopes. All the runners are a little slower here, perhaps compared to the long jumping, side flipping, dive rolling that they were doing all throughout places like Bomb Battlefield, where there's very little risk if you bonk it. Here, if you bonk it out. Pause to check. Ludwig spawning their star. Merken spawning their star. Viper's still working on 100s, but getting pretty close there. Almost 3 quarters away. All runners handling this very well. I don't believe we've seen the unintended effect in this level despite its peril. Hopefully that sticks with the case. And this Ludwig really catching up to Viper here. 55 to 57. As Ludwig does the faster stars, while Viper is back down to some of the slower stars. Merken still with a sizable lead over at 67. Not up to the super fast cool dive bunk strat on the ice boat, and it's okay. It makes it look pretty anyway. I believe Merken just do a quick peek there to see if there are any toads. They can hide behind those pillars. They don't want to re-enter this room unnecessarily in the future. I'm not sure which toads, which players have gotten. I know they've all gotten basically. I think they've gotten most of them gotten one of the upstairs, but not lost track of Ludwig setting up for a little shortcut up here. Let's see if they continue to try for it, or if they opt for the slightly slower, but slightly more reliable stairs long jump here. Yeah. The stairs long jump, not a free action, but certainly much easier. And we do not ride our way into the rock or even jump on him. We'll see how Ludwig handles the IROC fight. There is optimal IROC kick. That one's not optimal. That one's optimal. If you kick the IROC and the eye is still closed when you kick it, almost optimal. If it's still closed, it does not need to actually open. You can kick it a frame or two before it opens. But pretty good. Does not get pushed right. And manages to get that IROC star. All three players got a star. Almost in unison here. Finger Soul is at Merken 70, Viper 58, and Ludwig.
Here we go!
Merken continuing to clear out. Not sure what they're going for here. Trying to get the bird. Maybe that was a try at a short cut to bopping the bird. I'm not familiar with that strat, but it looks like they'll be able to helicopter their way onto its head. Yes.
Go!
All the players just kind of working on different stars here. Viper's taking one of the steam teleports in the game. Can't say I've ever used that one myself, but Viper felt it a good idea to get over there so that they could have the bird in a better position. They are finding out that there is in fact a tornado over there, so moving back to their original color. Just in time for the bird. Ludwig on tour on a green shot here. Not sure what they're looking for quite yet. That's that open They're not going to have enough height without getting some speed from that slope, so they'll have to be careful to hop up that slope, as you'll see here, and then get some speed, and then make the jump. Not too bad. Second try. To work their way through the shifting sandland. Looks like they're setting up for the straight to high. Doing a slightly different orientation than Ludwig does there. For controlling through the facing, you can face forward or backward. They both opted for different things to kind of fall in. There you go. That would be an optimal kick for Merken there. A second optimal kick. How am I going to get? Not quite three. A fourth optimal kick. A little hiccup there. Okay, 4 out of 6, I believe. Optimal kicks. Pretty good. See some point collecting going over on Ludwig inside the snowman plant. So, pretty safely to see one star in the works. We will move them to that for a few minutes, popping some boxes. It is nice to pop boxes as you go, because now Ludwig knows that is the box to go. They will have to watch that star spawn animation in the future, but they are looking for this Koopa shell for some added mobility, and they now know where that star is, so they do not have to pop any other boxes in the future. See Viper here, also trying to pop a box to find out where things are. They will unfortunately discover that is not the box they want. Viper also working on their 100 It was interesting to see how often some of these runners seem to be working on similar stars at similar times, despite being at different star counts and taking some different routing. They do seem to end up in similar places. Kind of goes to show that there are some sort sort of general threads that kind of run through these, you know, that there are ways to kind of say, like, okay, well, how should I approach these then? You know, even if there are different possible routes through it, runners will end up having something to Viper loses their green shell there, which is a little unfortunate. They have a bit of trouble getting this red coin. And they saved it on the ground pound to do it. No, they get backwards momentum, unfortunately. Clear cross there. A single, triple jump, slide, jump, there you go. Got it. Entering the Ludwig's still making progress on their 100-point star, and Merken is got to be very careful here not to get bullied off to their death. There we go. I see 20 points. Merken start collecting these yellow coins. That'll tell us no yellow coins being collected because you're just doing reds. The volcano here inside of the Wildland being another one of those stages, just like Shipping Sandland, that you can either collect reds or you can collect hundreds, because if you enter the subworld, you will not have enough points. You cannot get enough points to your 100 without entering the subworld, and all of the reds are in the overworld if there's no way back at you. So you must, in fact, always do one or the other. Fortunately, there are 2 very easy to collect stars inside of the subworld that you can get after picking up your 100-point stars. So no real time lost on that, but it does mean you can't pair them up if you might like to. Merken working on one of their last 2 HMC stars here. Actually, a little hop onto next. Actually, it looks like they are not going to the HMC star. When you get a good spawn like this, if you still have a star to grab from the metal cap stages, it is generally a good idea to do it. So Merken's going to go ahead and collect another metal cap star stage. Not sure if all the runners have seen what metal cap is yet, but it is a perfectly good one, but it does require so good to get those out the way while you are in there. Viper collecting their 100 points inside of Snowman Sign. And Ludwig collecting 100 points inside of Snowman Signs. Not sure what stars they have left. Probably going for the reds. They're going for 100 points here. Just doing a little exploring. Viper back into Shipping Sandland. Figuring out what is missing for them, and it looks like it's reds. Merken using a little trick that we have here. If you're in the very bottom here, the top floor is actually above you, but it is out of render. So these objects, they are either back-face cold or not rendered because of the rain. However, these stars are rendered anyway. As well. So if you saw Merken looking up into the ceiling there and where the stars are, you know the layouts of the ring, so you can get an idea of where this star is going to be. Because there are certain things, such as the starting point, or perhaps one of the areas where the right, like this, where that was. Yes, it's definitely up here. It's not in the metal cap room, it's not downstairs. Extra information games, kind of like using the pause menu as one of those additional data points that you can rely on. Okay, Viper having a little bit of trouble here getting this final red point. They might need to go grab another. Unfortunately, there is one nearby. They're also taking care to dodge that bird. The bird will actually steal your hat, and that causes you to take double damage from wild sources, and it can make it very easy to accidentally die. So you definitely don't want to lose your hat to the bird. And it looks like they teleported just in time to avoid having that happen. Viper continues to make use of that teleport. Perhaps I'm sleeping on that teleport. Maybe that's a strat. Maybe I'll have to consider it. Do some checks and see. Should I be teleporting at that tree? There's a couple of weird teleports. Isn't there a weird teleport in Snowman's Land that's rarely used by a tree? There's a few different ones that are rarely used. Some of the more commonly used ones are in Womp's Fortress, which any of our runners have found yet, and inside of the Tiny Huge Island, which we saw a runner use earlier on to get off that platform and collecting secrets there.
Here we go!
So we see Merken also realizing that it doesn't look like any of these coins can be retrieved via the wall jump or backwards kick methods, and they will be taking a plunge for every single one. Notice these runners also opt to hit the switches for the wing cap, hit the switches for the vantage cap. I suspect most of them will eventually already. I saw at least one runner do so, but not hit the switch for the metal cap. And the reason for that is we don't actually need the metal cap. The wing cap can help us with the mobility. You've seen players using it in POV and shifting sand line quite extensively. And the vanish cap can actually be required because there are several areas, such as in Dire Docks, which again I don't think anyone's seen yet, that have a cage that is metal. And that metal cage can only be entered if you have the vanish cap. So you definitely want to make sure that you have the vanish cap by the time you reach those stages. So in a weird way, kind of good that we haven't seen that stage yet, because it means that players are going to ensure that they have it if they've seen Vanish first. Ludwig almost at the end of their shifting sand lane.
Go!
See another unfortunate starter opening for Merken, but all the players are going to see that. And there we go. We find Womp's Fortress. Womp's Fortress, absolutely an S tier speedrunning level here. You're happy to see this no matter what category you're running, no matter where you are in your run. This is a place where even in 70-star runners will often bother to get 100 coins. And reds, it's just so fast to navigate. There's such a surplus of coins. These guys give you 10 coins all by themselves. You can do a little jump strategy you see here. Merken found it. I'm still introducing Womps in there, already up to 58 coins. So you can see how fast it really goes. And there are 4 open stars and 1 very fast boss fight. So absolutely an S tier level to find. Very nice to find early on as well, because it lets you potentially access other levels and not get locked out. Notice Ludwig doing a careful scan here, seeing if there are any of these coins that they can get, and they cannot. They just have to go into the water, same as everyone else. Merken almost finishing up the fastest 100 coin star that you will see. Bam, bam. And now they just gotta find the rest of those reds, but they already got their 100 coin star. Easy peasy. The only real threat is the steep slopes. Now when a star spawns on those steep slopes, there isn't too much of a threat. But when red coins spawn on them, it can be deadly. So fortunately, we don't have any red coins on the very steep slope. We have one on that semi-steep slope right there, but with enough speed, as you saw Merken do there, they can do a little bit of a throw over. But there are very steep slopes that not only are dangerous by themselves, but have places where you can clip through the level and fall to your death while going back up if you're not cautious. So overall, that is the peril of Womps, but still overall an S tier opportunity to get some progress. Ludwig here taking a bit of a tour in the basement, possibly looking for toads, I would suspect, by the way they're looking around those pillars. just heading outside to do some more big boost hunt. I believe I'm calling big boost mansions. Even though it's BPH. Maybe I can Ludwig, you roll in that Merken does find Dire Paradox, I believe, and he's going to go ahead and collect star 1. And after collecting star 1, as you'll see, it moves that water back. If you collect any stars for star 1, it will not move that water back. And it is often valuable to move that water back because you can theoretically lock yourself out if that water is Bowser in the fire safe. So, if the entrance to the Dire Paradox is Bowser in the fire safe, which is the item that is locked behind Dire Paradox, when you exit Bowser in the fire safe, you're going to exit out the Dire Paradox entrance because you cannot get without Bowser in the fire safe. Therefore, you will only have the option to re-enter Bowser in the fire safe, which takes you back out in the same spot. So it is very important that you go ahead and make sure you get star number 1 if you're not sure if Bowser in the fire safe, move that water back so that you have 2 options just in case you kick back out in that loop that I mentioned a moment ago. Some more tall palm out in action. And they see a toad right in their viewport, and it is the Tippy Toad. That only spawns at 50 stars, so even if they were here before, it is possible that Toad is not available to them. Viper flying nice and high, going up to collect their Mario over the Rainbow Star, one of the Stellar Stars, bringing their total up to 71. Ludwig has been maintaining that gap. They're currently at 65 to Viper's 71 to Merken's 87. So Merken continues to put a little bit of distance between themselves and the rest of the runners, where Ludwig and Viper continue to hold steady relative to each other. Again, this can all change based on who has done what stars, and an unintentional death can set you back a couple stars in terms of like the total speed. Not be surprised to see some of these numbers shift around if perhaps Merken were to make a little misstep and suddenly the gap between them and Viper is not quite so close, or so far. Ludwig doing battle with the king of boss fights in Super Mario. You know, Nintendo loves their Rule 3s in the battles. So that's not Rule 3 actually, but you know, there's the Rule 3 in Nintendo, which is a boss should take 3 hits. It'll take a first hit, and a second hit, and a third hit. In newer games, they have slight different stage changes between them. But in these games, it is simply do the same thing 3 times. So 3 hits on the 3 throws on the Bomb King, 3 hits on the King Boo, 3 bounces on Wiggler's head, and so on. Like through even some most recent Mario games like Mario Odyssey, where you're fighting most of those bosses, you give them 3 hooks. Merken grabbing their Vanish Cap Star. Another benefit when these runners first started, I mentioned that you have 2 options. You can either drain the boat and access Vanish first, or you can go through the Palm painting to POB. Another benefit of draining the most first is that if you happen to find Vanish Cap, something like 70 star, you're not going to do that level usually, it's pretty slow. But in 120, you want to only go there once, so the first time you find Vanish, you're going to most likely be completing Vanish. And when you complete Vanish, it spits you out into the moat. And if you open the moat, that's great, because it lets you re-enter whatever the level is inside of Vanish. But if you haven't, you have to take a long, arduous swim all the way out to the main entrance to the castle, and we see a very unfortunate LLL death by Viper there. Some frustrated pause mashing, which is a hallmark of taking one of those awkward deaths. So, taking a loss, I believe I'm not sure if they were working 100 coins there. I think they might have been. So that is a pretty unfortunate time loss to have to deal with, and they are right back into full avalanche. They want to make sure that they get whatever they were doing done with, and it does trigger those 100s. Ludwig finally finds that toad inside of the castle for the basement toad. So yeah, those are the kind of deaths that I was talking about. You never know. Viper has just now scored very suddenly, as Viper is at 71 and Ludwig is at 69. And so we've taken that gap from a gap of 6 down to a gap of 2 due to simply one small unintended death. And that can happen with any of these runners. We already saw Ludwig take one earlier on. So that is Randomizer. It is a little unforgiving in that way. And since you exit out 3 different portals, if you take a death in regular Mario, it's unlikely to use more than like 10, 20, 30 seconds, let's say, because you pop right back out at the entrance and you can go ahead and run that same start back. And as you saw when Viper wanted to run back this one from the point star in LLL, they had to enter and exit 2 separate levels to even get back here, which makes that time loss closer to a minute. Just because, you know, there is castle navigation that has to go on. And sometimes it's possible that the level you were previously in, depending on when and where you die, might not even be accessible. Because it is totally possible for the actual level you were at to be blocked. As it's not like a coin door, a star door that you can't get to. Maybe you have to go through several levels, perhaps even levels you don't want to go into again. Maybe Vanish Cap, let's say. You don't want to enter that twice. So, yeah, it can be pretty tough to take a death in Randomizer specifically. We see Ludwig doing some exploring of the Vanish Cap level. I'm not sure. It looks like they spawned perhaps up there, judging by the fact that they don't have... Yeah, they spawned up there. They'll have the effect of the Vanish Cap in the first one. And they're going to be making their way up, which is actually... usually you want to spawn at the very top of this. Since the red coin spawner is not at the very bottom, it can be reasonable to actually work your way up and figure out where things are as you go. You see Ludwig kicking their way to the very top here so they can kind of survey the land, see where that red coin spawner is, and then slide down and figure it out. And very another one of those stages that it is not the slowest stage you'll do, but it is basically free. You just swim around and collect 8 red coins. Can't really fail it, but... And Ludwig now reaching the top. To do some quick work of these reds. Viper, nervously moving around here. 2 coins left. And they are at 100 coins. They will collect that and feel very pleased with themselves that they have gone back and compared they were going before. Merken beating the boss. A little bonk for good luck on Viper's side there. Okay, Merken continues to be working inside of Wolf's Fortress. I just saw a death on Vipers, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. I looked away for a second over to Ludwig collecting their Vanish Cap star. But that does put it at 73, though as I say that, I see Viper collecting their 74th star. I think it's a free open star inside of this area. Getting up at the top, bowling.
Mamma mia!
Okay, entering more levels here. Still working on LLL is Viper. Looks like they're going to do battle. I've seen Merken continuing to make some progress in DDD and Ludwig. I believe simply totally closing out Big Boo's Haunt, but definitely making some progress near the end there. I've seen Merken working on their 100 coins inside of DDD. In DDD, the 100 star is going to be making sure that you get enough in the first section you can now go back and forth between the first and second section. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, so if you don't get enough, it is, you know, allowed to come back. However, you probably don't want to. It's slow. You don't want to have to actually exit the area that you're in, because that is a, you know, 30-second, 20-second maybe. I'm just making up numbers on that one, but it takes some time to swim back through that tunnel. So you absolutely want to make sure that you do not do that. And this is a level, of course, where you're going to be collecting 100 coins at the same time as Red. You got Ludwig riding one of the many long elevators up here inside of HMC as they collect their 100 coins plus Reds. Taking a peek through into that other room to see exactly what is waiting for them. Couple red coins here. You can see not doing a dive roll because it's a little tough to tell exactly how far away that particular phase is. Another spicy, good job by Merken there to get up onto this ledge. That is, ooh, and that's. We'll see if that costs them. That you really want to get all the coins that are up there on that platform. The blue coins. Those are 10 coins just left behind. And they're now 90. So I'm assuming that was not intentional. That was not a choice to miss those 10 coins. And now Merken's gonna see if they even have enough coins at all on the rest of this level to proceed. Well, likely still throws out their red coins even if they can't close out their 100, but it'd be a real shame if they weren't able to get those. Spawning the red coin star from LLL is Viper. Good progress for them there. Up to 76. Ludwig, of course, is still at 74, but they are working on a very time-consuming star. Possibly, again, the most time-consuming star, especially depending on how things end up spawning, which is the HMC 100 Reds. It's just a bummer to have to really navigate this whole place sometimes. It's probably between this and like Rainbow Ride 100s and Reds, which of the two can be like the most, you know, just like a time sink of moving around, where you're just kind of like, okay, here I am, strolling around these levels. Rainbow Ride, depending on how often you have to ride the carpet, can definitely be worse in this situation. I believe they only had to ride it twice, but sometimes you have to ride it 3-4 times. There's, you know, a red coin up there, 2 stars, that's 3 trips. Ludwig almost dying to those rolling rocks. And Viper, unfazed by their previous encounters with the death inside of the Leaf Lavaland volcano, goes for a brave jump to the middle platform and does nail it. And Merken does spawn a 100 coin star. So they were able to do that, which is good news, but you can see they did have to take that long swim all the way back. So definitely not as bad of a punish as they could have been, considering that it is technically possible that enough coins spawn out of bounds, which is the way the coin rings spawn, that without those coins from the blue coin platform, you just can't complete it. But they were only minorly punished with probably like a minute time loss on these swimming back and forth there, instead of the 3 or 4 minute time loss on having to re-enter this level and collect the 100s again. So ends up working out okay, but I'm sure that Merken would have much preferred if that was that little slip didn't happen there. Ludwig not really, I'm sure, appreciating their red coin star spawn as well, given they have to go all the way back up inside of HMC. That again, of course, being why HMC is a nuisance. You say, oh, great, I'm just gonna collect all my red coins. And the level's like, I hope that you plan for this last red coin to be in the water and the red coin spawner to be inside of the maze. I see 23 coins from Viper, which suggests to me that they're also working on their red coin and 100 star inside of the loop. It does look like it as they go for a chain of coins. Eyeball gives Ludwig a little bit of a bump because they answer that right. While they're on their way to retrieve what is their red coin star, and they do so successfully. Snowmorgan stands at 96. We have Viper at 78. We have Ludwig at 76. Ludwig taking a look to see, using their start menu, which again allows you to get an overview of the level and some of these outdoor levels, to see if they can find the locations of some coins, maybe the locations of a pink bomb, which is really what you're looking for should you complete this level. I see some blue coin collecting going on for Merken, which suggests that they are working on their 100 coin star inside of BB8. That is definitely a slower start, which should potentially give some of the other runners a little bit of a chance to catch up if they are working on faster stars. Ludwig does find that pink bomb up the cannon. Very important part. Something nice about opening that cannon is that that cannon is now open permanently. So there are times where you may enter into the Wing Mario over the Rainbow stage, and you do not have the wing cap, but you spawn on the same platform as the pink bomb, which means that you'll be able to unlock that cannon. So when you do have the wing cap, you can return later, and you can actually proceed immediately with opening, with going into your cannons, which can be nice, because very often the first time you enter Wing Mario over the Rainbow, you don't have your wing cap yet. Another fun little tidbit here about the wing cap specifically is that Mario's collider, when he's wearing the wing cap, is on his wing cap. So he has a bit of an odd collider. His collider is maybe a little bit higher, which does allow you to collect some coins that may look like they're a little bit out of reach. So you'll sometimes see players shoot a little bit underneath a coin, or like do a little bit of like a, swing upwards, a little bit of a gust upwards to try and just reach something as they approach it. Same thing with, as you saw there in Ludwig, with the ground pound. The ground pound kind of changes Mario's hitbox in it. It also allows you to go down faster into the ground after you collect your stars. So just little manipulations of Mario's hitbox and Mario's movement to try and take those to reach one.
Here we go!
Viper collecting their 100 coin star. And possibly only, I'm not sure if they spawned their red coin star yet. I might have missed that. Let's see. Looks like they're still looking around, so I suspect there is possibly a red remaining in their itinerary. Ludwig using that wing cap for some added mobility as they navigate around beneath the lava land. And I do see that Viper has found their final red coin. So yes, there was just one remaining, which makes sense. It's kind of a little bit awkward out of the way spot.
Here we go!
Ludwig picking up their red coin inside of LLL 6, picking up their 7, and picking up their final one right in the middle. And just making it to safety as their cat comes out. Viper back to which I will. Another fast page if you're looking for the right things. The fact that they're ground pounding and going in boxes like that suggests to me that they are looking for boxes that contain stars. If you open up a box and you ground pound, it means you're probably looking for a star, because again, it's going to be faster. You'll see how fast they move down to the ground. Whereas if you're still moving upwards, it carries Mario's momentum upwards, and it can take an extra half a second or so. Whereas if you're trying to collect coins, you're more likely to want to hover upwards. So what you do is you jump into the box, and then you kick again in the air. You do a second jump and then kick, so that you can collect all those coins before they fall and spread out. So little different strategies depending on even how you want to open boxes based on what you're looking for in those boxes. Little optimizations again. You'll see that's why sometimes the runners ground pound, sometimes the runners kick, sometimes the runners do a second jump, depending on how what they want out of a box. Like Ludwig is looking for something. See, now they've started collecting some coins. Using the pause menu for a little bit of action there. Collecting a red coin. Perhaps deciding what to go for, and it does look like they decided on 100. There are quite a few stars that spawn up at the top there, as you can see on our big screen right now. But you also see that there is a red coin star spawner that they just found, so they're just going to go ahead and go down to the bottom and work their way up back to that red coin spawner to have an optimized route throughout the game. 100 coin star in BBH picked up by Merken, and they are going to be looking for the remaining red coins, as the runners have. And they have collected their 100, their red coin star, and they actually have managed to do so without falling off the roof. I believe they can get up top here, yes. Unlike our other runners who both took a bit of a slide downward between those two collections. Like they're making the way up to the top of the tall mountain, presumably looking to have a chat with our monkey friend here. This monkey can either be very fast or very slow. A pretty good grab by Viper, and unfortunately taking a bomb from the Goomba. There are a couple of ways you can approach this. So you can corner the monkey and approach him slowly. You can wait for him to jump like that, and that will let him kind of reset. And you can either let him go or not let him go. If you let him go, he'll do a very slow walk down to this spot right here. He's going on a little safari, it seems like. Let him, ooh, almost collects the different star there. Or you can wait for him to actually don't let him go, don't free him, and then you'll be able to climb back down yourself and ideally drop him near his exit point. So it looks like the monkey decided to not quite register that they were near their exit point there and reset back down. Normally you would jump after that star, but Viper waits at the top because that star also spawns randomly, so it could teleport anywhere. And if it teleports back at the top, you want to get at the top. Ludwig spawning their red coin star after collecting a hefty 115 coins, that would be required 100. Oh, and Viper is greeted and saved. I believe that Goomba did in fact save Viper's life there, was greeted by an immediate Chuckya grab, but I think tossed directly into a Goomba, who bounced him a shorter distance because of the Goomba's bouncing trajectory than the Chuckya's throw power, which caused him to just scoot to the edge, and the other Goomba was a little too slow to react to finish him off. So Viper with a unfortunate spawn with a fortunate assist from the Goomba to get him out of a tight situation there. And then some quick movement on Viper's part to make sure they don't die to the second Goomba. We're picking up that open star out there. Our totals now, Merken has just broken the 100 star total. Viper at 85 and Ludwig at 81. So Viper, Merken rather, maintaining about that same lead over the other runners that Merken has had for the entirety since, about 50 stars in. The other runner is doing a good job to keep pace, not letting that gap grow too much larger. Ludwig has lost a little bit of the ground that they've gained over Viper, but I do know Ludwig is about to grab a quick star, and I know has worked on a couple of slower stars as well, so perhaps some faster stars coming in the future. We have two races with our friend Koopa Viper starting us on the second race that we do with our combat. It is another race that is pretty easy to win. It seems like Viper is going to be taking a shell round the world approach to the race. Stopping the timer at 16 seconds. Getting rid of that chuck yet. Just so we don't have anything to worry about after this cutscene. Working down in the basement of BBH again. I see 25 coins, which suggests to me that perhaps they are working on coins, but maybe not. Just looking for... Oh, we have a open star spawned up there, so perhaps those coins were collected incidentally. I felt like they'd perhaps done the 100 coin star already. I guess that was in fact actually just fighting the merry-go-round boost. Which just give you red or blue points, incidentally. Alright, back to TikTok clock for Viper. There are 2 stars remaining here. And time has stopped, so the stars should be in the exact same place where we left them. And there's one. Freaking plowing their way now through some of these very fast stars inside of blocks. And Ludwig seeing a nemesis of a red coin over the funnel. How will they approach this? It's going to be a triple jump, but what's the plan after? We've already seen another runner do a awkward dance where they had to kind of save themselves out of the funnel. And it looks like Ludwig, yes, does a good job of instead staying on the side of the funnel where they are on their butt the entire time, and therefore avoiding needing to slide back and forth. A much safer strategy. Also, it was not their final red coin, which was good because I believe the other runner was their final red coin, which means they got a cutscene with all of that, which was quite awkward. Viper working on their VOV 100, a very safe star, almost impossible to fail. However, again, not necessarily very fast. So an opportunity perhaps for Ludwig to gain a little bit of ground here. I don't think we have the same floating pole that we did for such an odd spawn previously on Ludwig's channel. On his channel stream. Ludwig's game. Ludwig playing keep away with that extra life. So I see a 100 coin star also in the works for Merkenbacher. Not Merkenbacher. I think it's Merkenbacher. Merkenbachgamer. Merkenbachgamer going ahead and collecting enough coins as they go to town, swing through the tunnel, loading the second segment. Another one of these. This isn't technically a subworld because you don't actually exit the main world, but it is a place you can't really get back. It is technically possible, I suppose, to all kick your way out, but not practical. Once you're in here, you want to finish in here. We're getting only one of the 3 coins that come out of the box. Fortunately, the other 2 decided to jump off of a cliff. Very little control. But those coins come out of those boxes is RNG. Sometimes they fall right in front of you, sometimes they go for a real safari. Viper trying for the long jump to the island and makes it. Very good. Another one of those not super risky to go for, and especially given that they all had the wing cap. It would have been very easy to recover if they needed to, but a little bit of a time save for able to go ahead and make that jump. It's not super precise, but you do need the momentum from 2 long jumps off the top and onto that second point. Near the very edge, there's probably I don't know, about a Mario's size of landing area on that second platform to let you clear it. So I think Ludwig just got secrets, if I saw correctly. Secrets in Sean's Sky and Wet Dry World. Secrets seems to be pretty favorable. And Viper returning back to the island. Perhaps just looking for a final red coin. Maybe just using that as scouting platform. Or maybe just get on top. Yes, they already got the red coin. They are just finding that spawn piece, using that as a little roundabout way to get up to the top. Merkin jumping into that slide can only mean one thing inside of Tall Mountain. It means 100 coins. You don't go in there unless you're going for that. And a very favorable spawn. You can spawn anywhere in sort of the top section of this race here, and the closer you spawn to the top, the better, because often there are coins inside of that top room. There can be trails of like 5 coins in there. So the goal here for Merkin is going to be to take this little wood ramp and collect as many as possible, making sure to get also those blue coins on the way down. It's not imperative to get every coin here, but you do want to try and grab a bunch. That string of 5 may be important. So you can see now Merkin switching over to collecting a few more of these singletons. It's that string of 5 kind of blew past them. And there are usually some coins down here in the bottom room. So we will see. Sometimes you need to re-enter the slide. We'll find out if Merkin re-enters the slide. And we also have Ludwig working on their 100 coins inside of Tall Mountain. And we'll see how they come out of the slide. They are being a little more diligent along the way to get some of these loose coins, perhaps. Though, as I say that, they leave a challenging one behind. Let's see if they also leave those. Perhaps those are not gettable. I'm not sure. But both runners opting to ignore that string of 5. Seems like both are content to exit with 72 and 73, so I suspect that will be enough for both of them based on what they've seen in the level so far. Viper gets their chests in JRB, moving their star count up to 92, actually continuing to increase the gap between themselves and Ludwig, and decrease the gap between themselves and Merkenbach. There's now only a 13-star gap. It was 16 not too long ago, so some good play by Viper to close that up while Merkin works on some of these slower stars. Ludwig, of course, continuing to work on the slower stars as well, so their star count kind of holding steady for just a bit while they do this team 100 coins. Sorry, TTM 100 coins. We are not in this section.
Here we go!
Ludwig seeing a perilous spot over there with a Chakya, a couple bombs, and an item that they might want. There you go. Oh, careful. Grabs it. Okay. Now we're going to be careful to give the Chakya enough room to pop so that we can get all of it. Unfortunately, the Goombas did decide they did not want to play this game anymore and have left the building, running off the edge on their own. With a sideways bomb there, hanging out. Good view of the underside of a bomb. If you ever want to know what they look like, they are the same as every other side of a bomb. They are black spheres. Bit of a spicy star spawn from Merkin there. It's rare that star spawn down there. All the players will eventually see that, of course, because that is the red coin star spawner location is set between every individual spot. And so here we'll see Ludwig also discovering that they have an interesting star spawn. Sometimes you can even get a star naturally spawning down there, or a red coin. You will see runners sometimes taking care to use their camera to peek down at the bottom as they run through. Just as you can see, Merkenbach now using the pause strategy to examine the playing field down at the bottom of the fortress.
Here we go!
Viper grabbing that nice open star inside of Wet Dry World. Ludwig doing a good job to make sure that they do not take a tumble. It's not a terribly difficult place to catch you, but if you hit the ledge over to the side, that is a slope, and it will toss you to your doom pretty fast. So it's important that you land it correctly before you go for it. Last star in BBH for Ludwig. And chest star spawned for Merkenbach. Merkenbach at 109. Getting pretty close to that 120 star goal. Also going to be collecting 25 points here. Why I was misled earlier into thinking that perhaps one of the other runners was going for 100 points. This is one of the rare situations where you'll be collecting 25 points and then not collecting 75 points. We do see Viper going for, again, one of the faster 100 coins in the game. Probably the fastest, which is Womp's Fortress. And there you go. Flying even more than necessary. Merken examining that star on top of a star, so the star is all the way down over there. Also waiting up to see where this monkey star spawns, and it's at the very actual lowest possible point in the entire level. That's the most low. So we're gonna go ahead and free fall all the way down. And hop onto that star. Do a pause check to make sure. 111 for Merken. Viper sees that there is in fact a red on a slope over there. Again, not terribly uncommon. That slope that you can see off to the right on Viper's screen right now is the real spicy slope. Had a little chat with the Womp King, another one of those bosses that takes 3 hits, as we see. His favorite number. Notice all the runners here doing this backwards slide strategy. The only way to realistically cheat on the slide is to do a bonk off the first wall you encounter to spin Mario backwards, and then a bonk off the very start of the lower wall, right as you exit the tunnel, and that'll give you the correct momentum and trajectory and facing to hop down all the way to the bottom. And once you get it, you almost never miss it, but there's definitely a little bit of practice involved in setting that up the very first few times you learn getting those bonks right. The real danger in Randomizer specifically is that sometimes there's signs while you're going backwards through that tunnel, and they'll just nudge you off your trajectory completely, and then you have to go down the entire slide backwards because you have no other opportunities past that to actually reorient yourself or proceed with the skip. So signs on slides are a real problem, and everyone has died to one before they remember to never be unaware of those again and keep an eye out for them. Ludwig defeating King Womp with those 3 ground pounds. And Merken, I believe, is going to be doing the secrets. Yep. Secrets have been pretty straightforward so far for everyone that's done them, so I expect Merkenbach to have a similar experience. Doing a little triple jump there that we use to kind of cheat our way up. Already up to 4, looking for the 5th, perhaps remembers that means somewhere else. And yep, notice how fast Merken was able to grab those. It's because during the run, all of our runners are, again, while they're collecting their 100 coins, while they're doing their boss fights, while they're getting their reds and so on, they're keeping note of where all these items are. So the next time they're ready, they say, oh, I know exactly where my red coins are. I know exactly where my secrets are. I know exactly where the shiny boys are. So the runners doing a good job there. You don't see them spending too much time looking lost lost once they went into a level once or twice. Looks like Viper is going for red coins, but just red coins, not 100s. They will potentially, I don't know if they've done 100s here, or if they are potentially going to do 100s when they do go to town. You do need to go to town twice. It is a requirement, once to get the red coins and once to get the open star. So it doesn't matter necessarily too much when you get your 100s. It can be slightly faster, perhaps, if you get your reds with your 100s, but depending on where you spawn, that might not be practical. Viper using save and exit routing to get back to Womp's Fortress. You can see sort of a lot of these players are doing a similar strategy here. Remember, save and exit brings you to the lobby, and that can be faster if you're getting to certain levels, whereas dying brings you to the exit, to the vanilla exit, to the level that you've entered. So right now, let's say Merken were to take an intentional death out of Womp's Fortress, they would get to the entrance to Womp's Fortress, just the same as if they were to collect a star here. But if they were to save and exit, they'd go to the lobby. And someplace like Womp's Fortress doesn't make too much of a difference because it's basically in the lobby. If you're talking someplace like Wing Mario or the Rainbow, a common place where you will end up in that you don't want to necessarily be in more than once, jumping to your death can provide, 5-10 seconds of savings over saving and exiting, or vice versa.
Here we go!
Okay, Ludwig setting up for the submarine jump here. Gets the correct jump the first time, but not the correct wall kick. The second time does not get the jump. Gets the correct jump and the correct wall kick the second time, and manages to collect all of their blue coins, so they do not have to literally swim back like we saw Merkenbachgamer do. Alright, and it looks like they've lined it up nicely that people spawn their red coin and their 100 coin at exactly the same time. Not sure what Merken's working on here, not secrets, so perhaps going to town? It does look like going to town. And they did not quite get a good angle on that. There are a couple ways you can do the cheesing going to town using that ledge up there. There is one that involves a butt slide, and there's one that involves a triple jump and a dive. And it looks like they're going for a double jump dive. There's like 3 or 4 ways to do it. They're all pretty equivalent on time. That's just Ludwig collecting 1 coins. So we can trade and Merken does in fact grab the down star. Viper having a little bit of trouble with the boss here. Accidentally collecting a metal cap and kind of having trouble getting ahead of the boss. There you go. Finally gets that 3rd ground pound in. The boss on those steps can be a little bit of a nuisance sometimes, because if you get below them, you get the ground pound at the right moment to clip through them, but since they're lower, since you are lower than normal, the timing can be different. So you saw Viper having that experience there, ground pounding a little differently.
Here we go!
Alright. Merken is up to 119, which means Merken is essentially ready to wrap up here. They are going to be climbing these stairs fast as possible. That wasn't the fastest, but it got up there, and we'll be looking to collect our reds here. Ooh, that would be in a 70-star run. That would be an ideal spawn, spawning all the way up there right next to the pipe. That's exactly what you're looking for in 70-star. But we are at 120-star, which means we actually have to go all the way back down to the bottom, because we need to collect all these red coins. And there is a way more flat terrain down at the bottom. Viper at 105, Ludwig at 91. Viper going for their aquarium here. It is very possible to take a death inside of Bowser in the Bowser in the sky, rather. This is a very perilous level, and looks like so far Merkenbach has done a great job of getting 7 of the red coins. Doesn't look like their 8th location is known yet, but I suspect that they will be finding it soon enough. But still very possible to take a death. And a death here definitely will cost you, so we will see if Merken can finish this without messing with these platforms. Well done. So looking for that last red coin. Viper gets their aquarium star, and Ludwig does in fact get both their reds and their 100 coin from White Dry World. Viper doing a quick check to see what they still need on the pause screen. Again, pause menuing surprisingly useful here, both for vision and potentially for tracking what stars. Merken making her way all the way up to the top to discover the final red coin was right where they spawned, but just off camera. So, probably a solid minute or so there of exploration, but we do have a pretty sizable lead right now, so I'm sure they're not too worried. But obviously, still gonna, progress as fast as possible. It is never too late to take a death. So, Merken may seem like a strange choice there, but Merken is pretty near the bottom, and if you saw before, we got a really good spawn very near the top, so it can actually be faster to die, re-enter at a better point, and then try again. That little bump there, definitely not intentional. Gonna go for a little bit of a spicier strat there to get up top, and nails it. Does not need to take that fireball, that's for sure. That's a little bit of pause spamming, of course. So, as I said, this is a tough level, and any runner at any point can take a death here. Perhaps Merken regretting a little bit, trying to get a better spawn by taking that intentional death. They're not in any particular danger of game overing or anything, but certainly they're getting a little bit, beaten up by the game for their choice there. Viper fighting the eyeball. That eyeball's in a tough spot. You definitely need to become invincible by taking damage from the eyeball and then not lose your invincibility frames while you're making a spin in order to actually successfully be able to do that. Okay, and into the pipe goes Merken as Ludwig collects their amazing emergency exit HMC star. Alright, Bowser fight time. Let's see how many throws we get. 3, as you may be surprised to hear, is the ideal number of throws. Let's see how many we get. Certainly more than 3. We have guaranteed that. That is 1 throw. We need 3 successful throws onto those bombs. Viper at 108 and Ludwig at 95. Right, so 1 good one, and they catch the mid-air grab onto Bowser's tail, which saves you a few seconds of not having to let Bowser reset. It does not go successfully for the 2nd throw for Merken. But continuing to progress, making their way through Lethal Lava Land, switching up which stage they're going to exit into, though. Viper exiting the castle, presumably to go down into the Big Boo's house. I've been calling it Big Boo's house. They have quite a few left to get from there. Alright, Merken gets their 2nd bomb hit, and let's see if they can nail the 3rd, or if they will be going back, and the 3rd. Alright, and so close, provided they don't die at the very last second collecting this big star, and that will be time for them to collect that big star. Nice shot, Merken. Congratulations. I don't know exactly what the time on that was, but it seemed pretty good to me. And we have our other 2 runners here sitting at 96 and 109. Viper just has a few stars left to collect. I know are inside out. chat now that you have completed your run. How do you feel it went?
I mean, the seed was pretty good, but my mistakes were pretty bad. Specifically, my mistake in DD 100s. This
Yeah.
normally, if I miss one more red coin, I can't get the 100. So I was so lucky that not a lot of coins were out of bounds, and well, I think I had 1 coin spare. If like 2 coins were out of bounds, I wouldn't have gotten the star because of this mistake.
Yeah, so when you missed those blues, I was like, this might be it. You know, might have to restart.
And I pressed this coin switch. I was so happy to get this jump from this submarine first try. This is normally a thing you need like 2 or 3 tries, because you need enough speed from the submarine, and then a second or third wall kick or frame wall kick.
Yep.
Else you can't get it. If you're having a 4th or 5th one, you can't get the height. If you get a first one, I mean, you can jump back to the submarine. This mistake.
I think for anyone watching, it seems like some of these things the runners are doing, like the submarine jump, which they all got with that couple tries, seems pretty easy, but as Merkenbachgamer was saying, it is, you get 2 frames, and that's it. The first frame sends you back to the submarine, and the 4th frame is no good, so it's literally 2 frames of content, so it can be tough.
Also, in the regular 120 star, this is one of the worst backups in the game. Just to know, just as a comparison.
Yeah, it is tough, and so losing those few blues up there, there's no way to recover it. Like by the time you get back up, those blues are too small. So, good that you were able to find some extras, even though you had to take that little tunnel route. Didn't punish you too bad. So,
I mean, it punished me like 3 or 4 minutes in the end because I had to look for the coins.
Yeah, it was definitely time spent, but better than having to, I suppose, collect all 100 again.
And I just see my time. Wait, this time is absolutely insane for this mistake.
Yeah, what was the end time? I didn't see the
2 hours and 37 minutes and 33 seconds.
Nice.
This is 2 minutes of my PB and better than the PBs of LudwigVonKoopa and SuperVi.
Yeah, that is a really good seed.
That's
really good time.
With this mistake. Another thing that wasn't also that good was just for my routing. I've done VVH pretty late. But I did the ghost run and was watching for red coins and stuff like this and just forgot in this entire time.
Gotcha.
Another thing, you mentioned that, well, you see a few runners do the same stars. That's actually because of the seed. We have a 6-stage loop and a 2-stage loop, which means you enter a stage, play the stage, another stage, or just go back, and after maybe 2 or 3 stages, which can
which can taking an unfortunate death there.
At least you got the 100 points.
Yes.
The thing is, if you we had a loop, I enter, and after 6 stages, I exit the stage I entered. That's a reason why, this loop with Rambo Ride, Bobon's Battlefield, TikTok Clock, was also in there, Cool Mountain, Rambo Ride, and Jeremy. That's the reason why a few persons did the same stars.
Gotcha, that makes sense.
And then there's actually another loop with Snowman's Land and SSL, also Shifting Sandline, which Ludwig and VonKoopa and I did at the same time.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know what we mean by loops here, in the randomizer, since you exit through a different stage than you entered, it's possible that you can, let's say, enter into Shifting Sandland, and then you'll exit the Shifting Sandland painting. And then the painting that you enter there exits you back where you were, so you can go back and forth. But that can happen with a long string of courses. So you may enter Womps and then exit, and then enter it, and that's Bomb on Battlefield and exit, and then that's Rainbow Ride and exit, and that's Womps again. And so it seems like there is a 6-stage loop, which is very rare. It usually, it's very common to see 2 or 3-stage loops, but 6 is a part of what contributes to having a really good time, because you don't have to spend a lot of time moving around the castle.
specifically because we, or like in my case, I don't know where or how it's for the other players or how it was for them. I got the wing cap early, and this entire loop requires the wing cap because of BUB.
Yep.
I don't like to do the BUB 100 without the wing cap. So yeah, finding that early was pretty good. And then something like BUB and the tri-vault delayed after founding the vanish cap was pretty good.
Yeah, you guys opened up a lot of stages very late because of the fact of that loop. So there were 3 or 4 stages we didn't see basically until the last, 30 from the start or so.
What else in this one? Wait, I never saw the 3HF in SuperVi. Okay. What was also in this one?
We had a pretty good metal in this run.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, being Peach's slide is nice. I was saying you don't want that to be something like TTC where there's 7 stars and they're normally very fast. So anytime you have something, so 1 or a 2 stager inside of metal, it's always a big time save.
Oh, the 100s were pretty good. SSL was pretty hard because there wasn't a lot on the big platforms, but behind there in this box quicksand area, it is fine. And LC 100s were pretty good. Homes was insanely fast, GLB was pretty fast, THI was pretty good. Rainbow Ride was carpet lots. About Rainbow Ride. I actually spawned on the roof.
You spawned on the roof, I missed that. Yeah, that's good luck considering there were 2 up there, so...
So, with this roof spawn, I saved about 2 minutes running the carpet. 2 or 3 minutes, depending where or how far away I spawned.
Definitely. Yeah, it can be a big time save to spawn on the roof. It's, of course that's totally random. There's nothing the runners can do to help themselves with spawning on the roof. Sometimes you get a roof spawn and it just saves 2 minutes, and that's nice.
So, but well, I heard you this entire time, so I heard a few things you said about my run. For example, this LudwigVonKoopa race.
Yes.
I did not really lost it. I finished it, then jumped down, got the wing cap, and was up there before the Koopa was even finishing.
Oh, I wasn't worried about it. I was joking around about, yep, we're almost gonna lose this race. It's really close. No, it's you really can't lose that race. It's pretty free.
You have about 1.5 minutes to get up there.
Yeah, you can get up there in about 20 to 30 seconds, even just kind of taking your time, and then you have a minute to hang around. So yeah, I knew you were goofing around down there, so I wasn't worried at all. Yeah, let's see, we got Viper here at 117, so getting pretty close, and we got Ludwig at 101 down in the maze, trying to see if we can find, looks like a missing star. There it is. Well, maybe that's not what they're looking for. Maybe they're looking for a red coin. I'm sure. Just taking a tour, making sure they're missing anything else.
SuperVi doing the Koopa race. Just because it's the last star.
Yep. Yeah, the Koopa race. I know that. So there is a version of this. This is not actually the full release of this randomizer. Right? It's of course coming soon. The last several years now. But ideally, we're going to be able to, at some point in the future, have all of the stars accessible. So you'll be able to start the Koopa race at any point, without having to beat it, the king first. Whereas, for example, right now, that Koopa does not appear until you actually select star number 2.
As far as I hear, it's only for non-stop.
That might only be for non-stop. That might be true.
But for the regular, I don't think this is true.
Okay.
But yeah, the deaths are really suck.
So that is part of the reason why the king, why you don't even see Koopa at the very first time you spawn. You need to actually the king first. So that's often also part of the reason why players do Koopa last. It's slow, but it's slow no matter when you do it. It's just a matter of you very simply must do the bomb, the king first. So Viper has enough time to literally take a nap at this flag before Koopa catches up.
And this time I just went down and got a wing cap, so that in case the star spawns pretty high or like far away, I can just fly there.
Yeah, you made very good use of the wing cap. You flew right down into it, I saw. So.
Yeah, I learned about, or like, I just took it in case. In one of my PB paste runs, right at the end, I found the King Bobber, and the star went so far up that you couldn't get it without the wing cap. So to prevent this, I just got the wing cap
Take one anyway, yeah. No, I was saying at the very start, I don't know if you heard, but the wing cap is super useful for BOB and I think shipping sand lanes as well. It can really help on some of those slopes. So yeah, it's nice to get it early.
In BOB, specifically if something spawns on the island, because going to the island without the wing cap is pretty hard.
Yeah,
and
nail the double long jump if you want to get there usually.
And if you miss it, it's like probably 40 or 50 seconds time loss because you have to run up.
Yep.
And for SSL, as you mentioned, the slopes, it's so good with the slopes.
Yeah, like it's not required for either of those courses, but it's just like it's way safer and sometimes faster depending on like where you spawn and where the hat is and stuff like that. So,
but, I mean, it's a required for Over the Rainbow. But I have to say, I never got so unlucky in Over the Rainbow. I spawned I think 5 times at the lowest platform.
I slid down there a couple times. I didn't realize it was that many. Yeah, it was.
I think it was 5 times, 4 or 5 times in a row until I spawned somewhere to actually do this thing.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the big variances in terms of that level is where you spawn. I was saying you can also get lucky, and sometimes you reach Rainbow before you reach Wing Cap, and sometimes you spawn on the same platform as the Pink Bob-omb, and then you're ready to go the very next time you enter. So.
Actually,
you can get very lucky there.
You can, even if you spawn higher, with long jumps you can get to every platform, or like to nearly every platform. I think there's one.
Yeah, I think there's one or two that you can't. Yeah, but it's close.
But if you spawn right at the top, I think you can like go to everyone except that one. Oh, Ludwig doing the...
Ludwig getting bullied by these enemies up by the monkey.
I'm so happy that I just got the insta grab with the monkey.
Yeah, was it you or Viper? Somebody had to reset on the monkey. They put it down on the ledge and then it worked back up.
It's Viper because I actually can't do the monkey glitch.
Okay. Yeah, Viper went for the monkey and got hit by a Goomba the first time, so the monkey dropped and had to pick it up again, and then went on the ledge and got the monkey glitch. But then when he jumped down and ground pounded, the monkey just teleported back up.
Yeah.
And it had to wait for it to walk down anyway, so.
I want to learn about something because it's like a 30 or 40 seconds time save in this stage, but I'm not good at it. Well, like I tried it and just didn't get it to work.
Yeah, I haven't actually, since I mostly run 70 star, I also do not know that trick because in 70 we just don't go for the monkey because it is slow. You need to get it to spawn by getting star number 1, and then you need to actually, catch them, pick them up, put them down, and then that star can spawn anywhere. So it's like a 3-minute star altogether, and in 70 star we're going for 1-minute stars,
SuperVi is going to this for the last I'm not happy about that place. It was so bad.
Your throws were a little rough, yes, I was, I mean, throws are already tough. I think throws might be one of the hardest things in the game. Like, I think for a while the world record in regular Super Mario 64 had a missed throw. So.
I think might be 120 star random to be also missed throw.
Yeah, it's one of those things that happens even to the best of runners, so.
Specifically after 2.5 hours of playing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like
I like to do the 100s or slow stars like those times pretty early, just because after 2 hours of speedrunning, I'm not having the energy to remember everything, or like to know everything. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying another benefit of doing those early is that you kind of get to look around the level and see like where the open stars are and stuff, so that's always nice. It's like Viper is taking the long route over to the moving platform here.
This flamethrower at the elevators at the end of Bowser and the Sky.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, you got knocked off at once.
I actually knew it was there because I saw it up there and saw it. But then I just got hit.
Yeah. No, I mean you were on that platform for like a second. There was nothing you could do about that.
Exactly.
There was also that bomb on the top of the Rainbow Ride where you where you do the wall jump on top of the maze, and there's a bomb on there that can push you right off. Yeah.
Exactly the same. Oh my god. We died because of this.
Yeah, because of the fire thing.
This fire is so bad.
Yeah, it's a really tough placement. And I think he has 7 red coins there too, right? Which is just
only item player to die at least once. Actually, I don't have any death in this entire run. 0 unintentional death. Or maybe 1, I don't remember. Like, for this. So, just mechanical wise, like except of the DDD and the bits, it was pretty good.
Well, that's good, yeah. I mean, honestly, the DDD thing is one of those ones where I know exactly what happened. It's where you like try to move Mario with the joystick and he does a bigger turn than you're expecting, and you just run off. It just happens.
I was actually not paying attention while hitting this blue coin switch. I was in my head. Nice, I got this jump.
Oh, yeah. So you just didn't even turn tight, yeah.
Well, because this movement up there is just muscle memory.
Yes.
I know how to do this movement. And this is pretty...
Viper not feeling up for going for a little shortcut there with 7 red coins.
Understandable.
And Viper's about to find out that they need to do this entire level again. Because the star is at the bottom. So at least get that star though, and this way you don't have to worry about that lame guy taking care of your red coins.
I think finishing GTM.
And leveling up to 120, so making some rounds here on Viper as Viper struggles a teeny bit, and Viper is going to take the same choice you did. I saw your, when you decided to take the intentional death to get a better spawn, you, a little bit got punished for it. You got like an okay spawn, but then got knocked off again. So
my spawn was actually pretty good. I spawned right next to the 2 elevators, but
you got pinned down by the fire thing.
This was... the first one was the bonk on the elevator. The second one was
the fire thing, yeah. Oh, there you go. A good spawn for Viper. That's what you want to see when you go for the So let's see how Viper's throws go.
Hopefully you can get better first than me.
How many was yours? 5 or 6?
I was at 6.
Okay, guess the first one. Did you get the dead air? He does. That was good. Perfect throws for Viper.
Very good throws.
Alright, and time for Viper is going to be as soon as they grab that star. And Ludwig's actually getting pretty close here. We're at 114. Alright, nice job, Viper.
Congrats, Viper. 357.72 or 16 something. You want this?
So that, I mean, the estimate we have for this is like 3.5 hours, so everybody so far, I think, is coming underestimating.
Well, we put the estimate higher because sometimes there can be red coins pretty bad. For example, in Fire Sea, there can a red coin spawn on top of the cage. And this thing, if you specifically don't know how to do it or not good how to do it, you lose so much time. on this.
My timer says 2:57:12 on my end. Just heads up.
There you go. I actually didn't put a timer to not put pressure on myself.
Well, if it weren't for 2 stars being on the big house in Rainbow Ride, that would have been a good seed.
That's true. Yeah, that we were saying. Merkenbach got a spawn on top of the house for one of them.
Lucky.
A few minutes.
That's what I was trying to. I was kind of trying to farm for that, but after a while, I'm just like, I don't think I should be doing this for too long.
Yeah, you give it like every entrance. You know, you kind of try to enter a few times. It's like, oh, I got a bad spawn. I'll just die, and we'll try again later. But after 3 or 4 of those, you're like, well, I guess I'm riding the carpet.
Yeah, some of those spawns I only really exited course because I was too lazy to go to the big carpet from there.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, it can be a long run if you're in spawn at the very bottom platform.
Yeah.
I spawned in the house on my last Rainbow Ride entry.
Let's bake a delicious cake.
I also think I got screwed a few more times than necessary during that run.
Yeah, what do you feel specifically went wrong or right?
I think in terms of decision making and routing, I'd say I did pretty well overall. Like, obviously I didn't do well as Merken, but I'd say for my standards I did alright in terms of that.
I think you had a better routing than I had, but I just had less mistakes. I mean, I only had this mistake in DDD with missing 2 blue coins.
Yeah, I got a very unlucky spawn in the LLL volcano. I spawned next to the fire bar that's near the poles. And I with 80 coins, mind you. I think
that was the biggest time loss.
Yeah, I think I could have saved it, but I didn't react properly, so I ended up dying.
I think the only reason why the times are so, or like the difference is so high, is just because of your deaths with a lot of coins. Your death in LLL, LudwigVonKoopa's death with 9 plus Merkenbach and Rainbow Ride. And yeah, these deaths cost like 5 or 6 minutes.
Yep.
I think I only had 2 unintentional deaths, and those were on TTC 100 and LLL 100. I don't remember any other ones.
That's all I remember for you as well.
Oh, and I think there was one in Rainbow Ride, but I was gonna take the death anyways to get a big house spawn attempt.
I hope you ride the carpet dot while I have to.
I mean, you still didn't have to ride it more than once, so can't.
Yeah, no, 1 time is like the average. 1 or 2 times is like the average for 120 star.
Yeah, you can definitely have to ride it 3 times. Not.
I actually had this in one of my BB or like close to PB runs where I had to ride the carpet 3 times.
Yeah, I feel like non-stop is better for 120 star when it comes to randomizer, but that's just me.
It definitely makes it so that there's a lot more uptime. I mean, I run 70 star and I actually think I prefer regular because in 70 star non-stop it's just very, very fast like the whole time. But in 120, like you said, you get some of those, the house where you only have to ride the carpet once and you get the 3 things that are up there. So there's more stars, there's more like seeds, I guess, that aren't just like, oh well, I lose 10 minutes to the carpet.
It took me so long to get sub 2 in non-stop 120 randomizer because I kept getting a lot of unfortunate seeds. I had 1 seed where a red coin and wet dry world spawned inside one of the buildings.
Oh, I had this on a TV.
And then I had another seed where a toad spawned underneath the basement stairs, or underneath the stairs leading to bits.
My most unfortunate is I had the inside the igloo star spawn inside the wall, like above that little bridge that's inside there on one of my PB runs, and it was just I had never seen that before either, so I'm like, where is this? And so I looked in every single wall until I finally found it.
At least this one is possible with the vanish cap.
No, it's not because...
Did it spawn in one of the solid walls?
In the pill, yeah. So when you first walk in, there's that wooden bridge. That actually has a collider, and it extends into the pillars. And so the star can spawn on top of that bridge inside the snow pillar, and you can't get in there with Vanish.
Oh, God.
It's very rare, but I'd never seen it before.
There was one seed I had where I spent like 20 minutes looking for a red coin in HMC, and I swear I scoured every nook and cranny of the level, and it just was not there.
I also had this thing, and then watched the Metalhead Mario Can Move room, and it was in there.
I
never knew that.
I even checked in there, and it just wasn't there. But I found that like there's usually nothing in that room, but sometimes I'll check it anyways. And then the other room that I feel like there's just never anything in is the coffin room in BBH.
Coffin room. Yeah, sometimes there's something at the very front, like right by the camera, but that's it.
Well, I think the one time I ever had to actually go in there was when the Eye-to-Eye in the Secret Room star spawned in there. And other than that, I've basically never had to get anything in there. I usually check it just to be sure.
Yeah.
With Impossible Stars, I had a run which would have broken my non-stop 120-star PV by 10 minutes, but one red coin in the draw wall just spawned out of bounds.
Yeah, that's something I experienced. All right, I'd love to stick around, but I got other stuff to do, so GG's and good luck to Ludwig.
All right, Viper, GG, good run, and thanks for joining.
All right, I'll be going off the line. How do we want to handle audio?
I do not know. That is not a question for us. That's a question for tech, so maybe we'll post in the chat and sort it out. So
okay.
Let me figure that out.
And one thing I just saw by LudwigVonKoopa, he did his first carpet ride while we were talking, and his second carpet ride.
Go.
So said for you to stay on the main screen there.
I also don't want to leave this screen. Just feel excited after a run to see this screen.
Yeah. I always like when I record my like runs and stuff like that. I let it hang out on that screen for a while. So. Cool. All right. So sorry for the brief loss of commentary for anyone watching. We just had to. We're using Viper's audio. So
this is so scary what Ludwig does. There's an invisible wall and you can't softlock there, but he just jumps it nice.
Yeah, if you don't know about it and you just try to slide down that slope, you are gonna end up ping-ponging back and forth in like one frame, and you're kind of stuck, so.
And you can't exit the stage because you're moving. So the only way to get out is either to be lucky and somehow clip through the wall, which I think happened to LudwigVonKoopa in one of the last ones, or just resetting the game.
Yeah, you need to reset, and if you know that obviously you're resetting after having ridden the carpet, so it's a 3-4 minute time loss just on that. So it is a real bummer. So, but Ludwig does a good job of circumventing that, and is now on their way to Tower in the Sky Reds. And we'll see if they can avoid having the same fireball shooter fate as both of the other runners have had today.
Could have finished like 2 minutes faster just because of this.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously this is not technically random seed because, you know, it would count as set seed, but you all did not know what the contents were, of course, beforehand, so given the fact that if either of those mistakes weren't there for you, you would have been in a PB, is a very good run.
Yeah, so you have to know, this run right here would, or like the run I had, this would be, if I don't have a PB and this would be random seed, the 6th place time on the leaderboard. But without this DDD mistake and with a little bit better bits, this time could even beat like my random seed PB. And the problem is we run at set seed, so that everyone has to set the same seed. The only differences are stars which spawn from events like killing the King Bob-omb or the Koopa race. These stars are spawning differently. The red coins, etc. are all the same. And the Mario spawns are different. So if this run would have been my new PB, I couldn't upload it because it's set seed and not random seed.
You could run it. You could upload it to set seed technically.
Yeah, but
you would have been second in set seed, I think, right? What was the time you had?
No, it's 4th time set seed.
Oh, you were 220. Okay. Oh, there's like a big chunk that are all around the same time there. Yeah. There's nobody really runs set seed. I mean, it's randomizer, so you know some people run 70-star set seed. There's like a good 50 entries there, but
specifically Red Slum is doing a lot of set seed runs.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
even in 120 and the normal 120 star randomizer, there's like a pretty huge gap between place 3 and 6 to like also the place where I am, because Chase with his 3rd place is about a 229 and the 6th place is at a 242. Like there are 13 minutes where in between are just 2 people.
Yeah, which is huge because the next times are 242, 243, 245, 245, 246. So the next times is 14 minutes or 13 minutes between 6th place and like 17th place. So to give you some context, it is a very big gap for just 3 people. Alright, and we are just collecting the star here for Ludwig, so...
If he goes for the death, and he's going for the death.
Yep, going for the death, makes sense. I mean, 27 lives at this point, it's worth at least 1 free roll. Basically at the bottom anyway. There's very few spawns that are worse.
That's pretty good.
Not happy with that one, apparently.
Only this is good enough, but...
Getting bullied on the way down, though.
Well, he has time. We are ahead of... Or like we are ahead, so he can just fight a little bit to get the gold spawn. Which is just spawning right next to the pipe. This is worse. This is a very bad spawn.
Yeah, if you're not gonna take the last one, don't take that one, for sure. Alright. Wall kicking their way in. This is the same as the one they abandoned last time, but it looks like they'll take it. Alright, going for the double kicks here. The double jump kicks, whatever they're called. Okay. Good movement so far, going up here. And let's see if they fare.
Please don't get hit by the flan.
Okay. Do they go for the jump here? No. No one's brave enough for the jump. Did you do the jump?
I did it, yeah. I do it every single time. It's like...
Every time?
It's specifically if there's nothing that can kill you, it's not very risky. The worst thing is hitting an invisible wall and right the two elevators, or like the two spinning wheels again.
Yeah, I had a very scary one where I ended up a little bit short, but I was able to wall kick the very edge of the platform and grab it. So that was pretty nice. But I definitely at the moment had a bit of a heart stop moment where I was like, oh no, I missed it. Wait, no. And
Awesome.
alright, 2 still worse than Viper, still better than Merkenbach though. Oh, gets the double pound here, and
Oh, that is so bad. Just because of grabbing him.
there you go. Okay,
Nice.
one miss. That's pretty average. I would say
Yeah,
most
that's
people
pretty
miss this one. Yep. All right, and time for Ludwig is of course going to be on collection of the big star. That's time. GG. Press Ludwig.
Yo, GG Merken. I didn't expect anything less from you, by the way.
I was hoping to get a sub 3 hour time.
Without double, roof star spawn, right? But without one copyright and without the stupid flame spitter on the final bits thing, you could have actually unofficially PB'd.
Or just don't miss the 2 blue coins in DDD.
Yep.
Well, my race was over in Rainbow, right? Like, I died. I think the gyro didn't even get there, but I died 2 times at the 100 coins stars in Rainbow.
Oh,
I died
that's
one
awesome.
time
God.
with
Like one of
87 and one time with 75.
Oh yeah, I only
God.
saw the first death. Goodness. Yeah, that's a rough one.